The opinions expressed by tonight's guest do not represent the opinions or position of Spaced Out Radio, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with SOR Media. Listener discretion is advised. Here at Spaced Out Radio, we are about to take you higher. Broadcasting from the Rocky Mountains of Colorado to you listening around the world. This is Spaced Out Sunday with host Tessa Nicole Thomas. You can follow Tessa on our Facebook page at Spaced Out Radio, on Twitter at TessaTNT, and you can subscribe to her YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio for the archive. But we break on command 'cause women rule the world. Buckle up, space travelers. Let the countdown begin.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's time to go for a ride with host Tessa Nicole Thomas. I'm such a lucky guy.
Good evening, Spaced Out Radio. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a Rocky Mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 419.9 in colorful Colorado. It is Sunday, March 31st, Monday, April 1st for those of you on the East Coast and beyond, and this is Spaced Out Radio. I hope you guys had a rockin' weekend and an awesome day. I am your host, TessaTNT, and I'm broadcasting live tonight from beautiful Bayfield, Colorado. We are 150,000 strong nightly on Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Radio Network, spacedoutradio.com, Paranormal Radio, TalkStream Live, as well as Deep Talk Radio, which you can find at deeptalkradio.com. We're also on UPRN 99.1 FM, WQEE 107.7 in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead, as well as Revolution Radio, KZFX FM 93.7, TuneIn Radio, KDUN Radio 1030 AM, and so on and so forth. You guys, don't forget to check out our website, spacedoutradio.com, where you can peruse the Spaced Out Radio store and find the encounter online dealing with everything strange, paranormal, and odd. So tonight I have a treat for all my guys and gals out there. Tonight we will be talking to and getting to know Miss Megan Gehring. Growing up in the Cascade Foothills of Washington State, surrounded by rich history, Megan always felt different. As Megan blossomed into a teenager, she realized a natural draw to people and places. Through self-work, she realized she had traits of an empath. Megan served in the U.S. Marines briefly, and during that time discovered a paranormal investigation group. She learned valuable investigative techniques, gadgetry, but more importantly, client care. She has been an active investigator in the paranormal field since 2004. Recently, in 2018, Megan achieved Astral Travel Capabilities and has continued to assist many people with paranormal issues such as hauntings, spiritual attachments, and so on and so forth. When she's not working on the paranormal, she is digging into conspiracies. Hey, Megan, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here tonight.
Hey, Tessa. I am so excited to be here with you.
And I have to say, Simplify Oorah, so great to have a fellow jarhead, a.k.a. Leatherneck, on the show. And we have so much in common. I was amazed to find that out as we've been talking, through the past couple months.
Yes, yes. No, big oorah, and I am just thrilled because, female Marines, we are few and far between, so I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, and we even had, same stuff going on today. We're both kind of dragging our butts along the ground because we're so tired, or so on and so forth. But, we're getting through it. And hold on, Trip is saying Megan's really loud, so let me turn you down just a little bit. But yeah, I'm so excited to have you on here, and I've been thinking about it for a while, and then I finally asked you, I think it was last week or the week before, and when you said yes, I was like, yay, we're going to have an epic show. I was totally missing the 31st on the calendar because it's combined with the 24th, so they're both in the same square. And I was like, oh man, I got to fill this. And you would be perfect.
Well, thank you.
So, I always ask my guests, when was your first paranormal experience? Like, when did you first realize that you had these gifts, which is the ability to see spirits or feel spirits or whatnot? When did you first realize that?
I was very young. Growing up, we had a very close-knit family. My great-grandmother actually lived just up the street from us, and I would have to pass her house on the way to school because, not to sound so old, but I walked to school uphill, not both ways, but, not both ways, but I did have to walk every day to school, and I would always pass my great-grandmother's house, and she's my Nana, and, I'd always wave at her through the window on the way to school, but on the way home, I would always, cut through her yard and go hang out, and there was something about her property that always made me uneasy if she wasn't directly there. Mm-hmm. And come to find out that, beings that I grew up in the town that I grew, there was a lot of really mixed history. It was almost like a Western town with kind of a, flair of, kind of scandal and brothels and drunk shenanigans. And it was a mining quarry and everything. And so the miners just popped up these little cabins everywhere, and just so happens, after learning the history, there was a second house on my Nana's property, and that one was destroyed in a questionable fire, and I was picking up on that. And about that age, I was, I'd say 8 or 9, and then at 9 or 10, I had my first UFO sighting, and I just realized that, this was something very different. And then when I was 13, X-Files came out, and I was like, oh, whoa. Because, that was the first, I guess, major airing of something with paranormal theme. And so the X-Files was something I just immediately became addicted to. When I was 13, my mom and dad had gone through a divorce, and my mom ended up in her own house. Well, the house was haunted, legit haunted. There was stuff moving around all the time. I could hear voices. And actually, my grandma is the one who verified what I was seeing was absolutely accurate. I was seeing a ghost girl who was similar in age to me, and at that time it was 13. And she had died of a sickness, which I later found out was yellow fever. And she passed in the house, and she was stuck in the house, and I actually crossed her over. So, awesome. 13, at the age of 13, I ended up doing a spiritual crossover with her.
How did you know how to do that? Like, did it just naturally come to you, or how exactly did that happen?
So what's interesting, thank you for asking that, it was a message through a dream. I got it more clear in dream state than just feeling what she was feeling in an awake state. And so I kept having this repetitive dream that she needed to be told to go to the light and that her loved ones were waiting. And so after having this dream for a handful of times, I would say no more than 6 times, I just tried it one day. And Tessa, I kid you not, the amazing energy that occurred in that room at that moment. I mean, my skin, every inch of my skin just tingled, and it was almost like I could hear music, but not audibly. But even the sunlight changed in the room. The sunlight actually became brighter. Mm-hmm. And it's a clear, sunny day outside, so there's no reason that it should have looked shadowy coming through the window. It was just the heaviness of her presence and her spirit being stuck. And then when she crossed, all that was lifted and it went with her. And it was just, I'm like, the light changed. The sunlight, the color of the sunlight changed. And it was just so amazing. And I just literally was overwhelmed with emotion, and I started crying because it was such a relief, and I could feel pure love. And I honestly believe that might have been the first time that I felt pure, unconditional love. And it just showered the whole room. So I was just amazed. And that is like one of my most memorable experiences. So even to this day.
It's funny that you say that about the light, because I've experienced that as well. It's not the light itself, it's the energy of the spirit and what's going on within them and kind of the feeling they have going on. And it dims the light, whether it's internal light or sunlight even. It's amazing how strong it is, how it's able to overcome those things. I'm so glad you were able to help her. Do you know what happened to her?
In life, she died between the age of 12 and 13 from yellow fever.
Oh, yeah. And what is that?
So it's, let's see. So the house was built in 1901, and she had died somewhere between 1901 and 1920, as far as I can tell. Mind you, the population of the town that I grew up in was less than 600 people. So there's not really extensive records. We had to go off a census. And so in 1901, she didn't exist. In 1910, she was listed, but then in 1920, it was claimed that she was dead. So that was very interesting. So we had a 20-year block that we could look at. So she was definitely born by 1910, but she was definitely deceased from this yellow fever, which is kind of, I've heard that it's a waterborne illness, kind of like cholera, but also it can have contagious elements like a scarlet fever.
Yeah.
So, and that was very popular back then because we didn't have the sanitary, I guess, protocols that we have now. They weren't able to wash their hands all the time. And, indoor plumbing was an absolute luxury that did not exist in super far out rural areas like the town I grew up in. And, wood heat was the main source. And so if you were running low on wood or didn't keep the fire stoked, you were susceptible to, that hot and then very cold, and you were apt to get more sick. So, it was just really interesting because my grandma is the one that did the historical research because, I'm so thankful for my grandma. My grandma is the one, like, my mom thought I was going nuts because I was telling her I was seeing all this and I was hearing this and I was feeling this. And my grandma is the one who kind of went, well, it kind of runs in our family. And she's the one that provided the historical information, which was the proof that we needed to kind of encourage me to continue on this path.
Well, that's awesome that she did that because my mom, she was the spiritual part of me. Like, she was the one that was able to go and not only see spirits, but she'd go to cemeteries and hang out and smoke and talk to them. And
oh, wow.
And she had so many different things going on. And when she passed, I was like 5, almost 6. And when she passed, like, that spiritual side of me was gone. My dad kept us for a little while, and then we moved from Arkansas to Florida, and then he sent us back to Arkansas for a visit, and then never sent for us again. And And my grandparents
Oh.
tried, and my grandparents were my mom's parents, and I cannot tell you, like, all the paranormal experiences I had at their house. But I do remember just wishing and hoping that they would reach out and help me and my little brother, because we're so scared and frightened, and they're like, just shut up, go to sleep, like, there's nothing happening. But I know that they knew something was happening, they were just denying it.
Yes. Yes, and that's exactly how my mom was in the beginning. She did not, I mean, she absolutely refused to have me acknowledge this. So,
Yeah, and I don't know if it's their own fear or what exactly it is, but I know my grandma knew.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I knew my grandpa knew. Like, my grandma was German, my grandpa was Cherokee, and I know they knew, but they were just like, shut up, go to sleep, you know, there's nothing out there, and there's all kinds of stuff going on out here, like, we're like, please help us,
right.
And they're like, shh, just go to sleep. Like, that would have been easy, but you can't really go to sleep when all this stuff is going on around you, like, all the shenanigans, you're just like, holy shnikes, what the crack?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, oh my goodness. You know, my grandma had tendencies to do that. So that's why it was really shocking that she was the one who kind of headed up the historical pursuit and tried to procure this information to validate it. Because in her lifetime, she was actually told that, you know, any type of spiritual contact, because my family used to be very religious, and it was Catholic and Lutheran in our community. And so it was very, I guess, macabre to have spiritual contact. But in my grandma's later life, she started to realize the importance of it. And I'm forever grateful. And she's still with me. I'm kind of talking like she's passed, but no, she's still with me.
Aww.
And she asked me all what kind of like woo I'm up to. And I'm very honest with her. You know, I've told her I'm in paranormal groups, and I haven't exactly told her I astral yet, because I'm not sure how she's going to receive that. But you know, she's asked me if I've gotten any message, and she's actually told me some reoccurring dreams that she's been having lately. So you know, my grandma and I have that really awesome relationship that we can talk, you know, the out of the box things. So
Well,
you know, I couldn't imagine her, of all people, or even my mom, continually like, no, you know, it's in your head, or your imagination's overactive, because I've heard that. You know, I've also heard that. And my brother doesn't have the skill set that I do, or he's never encouraged it. So, I mean, does your brother pick up on things?
Oh, my whole family does, and my oldest brother has actually had lots of issues with it. And he's finally at the age of, man, he's almost 50 years old. He's finally, after me talking to him several times, we were separated for about 30 years. My 3 older siblings had a different dad than me and my little brother. Once my mom passed, they went with their dad, and we went with our dad. My 2 youngest older siblings, you know what I mean? Like, they were older siblings, but they were the youngest out of the 3. They would come and visit us. Gary never did, because he always felt like Mom and Dad were fighting over these certain issues, and he didn't realize what it was till I told him, and he felt so bad about it. You know, he thought it was because my dad was being jealous of one of our cousins. He wasn't being jealous. He was trying to protect me from them, because he knew what he had done to me. And so he was like, oh man, like, had I known that, I would have treated him nicer. And so they had this really bad falling out. And I'm like, don't worry, like, Dad understands, Dad knows, and he loves you. Like, don't let that bother you. But we got together after 30 years of separation, and it was amazing how much we had in common and how close we were. I was just, like, blown away by it. But he calls me all the time when he has paranormal stuff going on. He's got a stepson. They found a satanic Bible in his room. Different things started happening after that. Yeah. They tried to burn this thing, which wouldn't burn. And then they took it somewhere off and buried it. And I'm like, man, you should have taken it to somebody that knows what they're doing with this stuff. So this thing is not continuing to harass you. But instead of running from his gifts, he's finally learning to accept it. He's been feeling like he's been crazy this whole time, which you're not. You just have a certain set of skills, which a lot of people can't handle. As soon as he accepted it, things were easier for him.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still kind of like questioning my brother. I wonder sometimes if he just has denied it. But then there's other times where I'm like, I'm the one that's giving him kind of like insightful advice. Like, hey, I kind of saw this, or I just happened to text him. And then all of a sudden his young son wakes up with like a night terror. And he was like, how did you know to text me?
Right.
Because he's in the Navy, so he lives on the East Coast because he's stationed out of Virginia. But, it's with the time change. I mean, 3-hour time change, but still. I have that uncanny, like, I got to contact my brother. Like, I don't care about his time. It's midnight for me, 3 a.m., but I text him, and then the text wakes him up, and then all of a sudden his young son like experiences a night terror. And it was like, my text basically says, is everything going okay? Because I just had that innate, urge to contact him and make sure everything was okay. And then I'll be available to kind of like talk with him as my nephew is having this night terror. So, it's stuff like that that my brother is like, you and grandma, geez. Like, it's kind of those things. I mean, it's just expected in our family now. And, it is something that I am learning to honor. And that was really hard. It was really hard to actually embrace it.
Well, it is because for so many years there's been so much judgment and ridicule and, burning people at the stake because, you're a witch if you have these certain gifts, which really, like, I have never read or practiced any sort of witchcraft. It's just something that comes inherently, whether it's in my DNA or, my roots, whatever, like, it's happening. There's nothing I can do to control it. I don't go out to seek the occult or whatever you want to call it. It just comes to me. And not only myself, my mother, my siblings, and my kids. Have you noticed that your kid has been born with these same gifts as well?
Yes, actually. And I recall clearly my daughter coming into the kitchen and she's all freaked out. She's got huge eyes and she's just like pale. And I was like, what's going on? And she was like shaking her head like, I can't tell you. I'm like, what? And she was like, Mom, I saw a shadow. I'm like, okay. And then she explained that she saw like a shadow figure and it seemed to fall on the floor and then melt into the floor, but then the hand was reaching up, like trying to grab. And it really freaked her out because she said there's no way that it was a play of the light or, some kind of, vision that she was at. She was really seeing this. And she was so freaked out. And I just looked at her. I was like, yeah, I see that all the time. Like, anything else you saw? Like, and I pointed to the area. She didn't tell me the area in which this was happening, but I pointed towards our front door. And I said, do you know I see that same exact thing right there? And she just looked at me, and she was so, like, scared and relieved, like a mix of the two. She almost started crying right on the spot. And she was like, I just didn't know. Like, but, and I've told her, if there's anything you have a question about, ask me. I'm not going to play it off like it's your imagination or that you stayed up too late on your tablet and you watched something scary that you shouldn't have. Like, I will listen to it. And with myself, I can validate it. And that is also one thing. Like, I get a lot of clients that are not spiritual or don't have any type of abilities, but their children do. And so I'm talking with the mother of the child, and I'm trying to get them to accept their child's abilities. So
And
that's one thing.
it's so important to have, especially as a child. Like, when people aren't listening to you and acknowledging what's going on, it does make you feel crazy or like you're out of your mind or there's something wrong with you. And when you were saying earlier about, oh, it's just your imagination. Well, after my grandparents couldn't handle us anymore because my brother, we had these kobolds, aka goblins, running around that captured my brother. And after that, he's never been the same. He became a real handful. And then they called my aunt and uncle and they're like, hey, we can't handle the kids anymore. Can you come get them? So they drove all the way from Washington State and came and got us from Arkansas and took us back to Marysville, Washington. So we lived there for a while. And my aunt, so I'm telling my cousin, which is my sister now because she adopted me this last year. I'm so excited. But I'm telling my sister these stories and she runs off, goes and tells her mom, and she calls me down and she says, what the hell are you telling my daughter? What's going on? What is this? Yada yada. And I'm like, this actually happened. This is true. Like, these things happened at my granny's house and at my house before my mom passed. And she's like, that never happened. That's your imagination. And don't tell my daughter these stories anymore. It's just your imagination and you need to stop. And it did. It made me feel alone. And it made me feel like I was crazy. And it made me kind of second guess myself. Like, did this really happen? But I know it did. I know all these things did happen to me. I was not sleeping. I was not dreaming. I know the difference between dream and reality. And just her saying that to me just made me doubt myself. And still today, when I tell her what I'm doing with paranormal research and such, with Four Corners Paranormal, she's like, I don't want to hear about it.
Oh, no.
Keep it away from me. That stuff really freaks me out. And so now I understand where she was coming from. When I was a child, it just really freaks her out. She doesn't want to hear it. So she wants it as far away from her as possible. That doesn't mean she didn't believe me. She just didn't want to acknowledge it and accept it, and worrying kind of like that was going to happen. If I brought it up, it's going to start happening in her house, which that house was haunted too. But whatever, like, I understand where she's coming from now. But then I didn't. I was feeling alone and crazy, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I believe that is like standard. I mean, that is a standard way to perceive people, or a standard way of treating people, or even the perception of the person who has the ability. We perceive, because not everybody does this, we are maybe a tad crazy, or we have to second guess ourselves because it's like, well, did I just stay up too late? And, now all of a sudden I think I'm hearing voices, or was that really a shadow? So you start to like overanalyze yourself, and that too is not healthy. If you're picking yourself apart and overanalyzing what you saw or what you felt or what you think, that right there is not a healthy mode to be in.
Yeah, and I found it so important as being a parent when my kids come to me with things, and even before, like, I would tell them about my experiences. I want them to know about when I met the devil. This is what you say if you ever do. And if you ever have an issue, come to me. I will help you. I wanted them to know that they were loved and supported, and I'd always be there for them, no matter how crazy it seemed to them. And just recently, my two youngest kids, my 3-year-old and my 6-year-old, called me. And, so about a month or so ago, my youngest was telling me about this UFO dream that she was having with aliens. And then this last week, the two of them were on there, and they're both talking to me, and Lily's telling me again about another UFO dream she was having. And she's like, Floyd was running, and he tripped over a log, and Floyd piped up at that point, and he said, I didn't trip, you tripped. And she's like, okay, yeah, I did.
No.
And then they had this same experience. It wasn't a dream. It might have been a shared dream, but it was actually a shared experience. And they're talking about it more and more and more. And then Floyd's like, remember when I jumped on the alien's head? And they both were like, ha 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 ha, laughing about it. And it was a shared experience that they had. I don't think it was a dream. It kind of, they make you try to think it's a dream, but I think it was reality. because they were both there. They were both experiencing the same thing, and they were laughing at the same point. Like, remember when you jumped on the alien's head? Ha! Like, both laughing together and like, yeah, that was so funny, and yada yada, so on and so forth. And I was like, oh my God, what the heck is happening around my house?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. No, that is really interesting. I've actually dealt with a case like that where the mother just figured, oh, it was a dream similar, a similar dream between two of the kids. And really, there was some legit visitation, because when we were able to go astrally, we saw traces of extraterrestrial. I mean, there wasn't one there right then at the moment, but I could tell that the aliens were using astral to basically imprint or have a visitation with these children.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not something that they were manufacturing.
Yeah, and it's funny because, okay, my mom was the spiritual side of me. My dad, he had a couple spiritual experiences. One of the first, when he was with my mom, he saw the first spirit that I had interaction with, going up a ladder into the attic, which there was no ladder there. It was like a ghost ladder with a ghost climbing up it. But we used to sit and play at this guy's feet. We'd play different games, play ball, all kinds of stuff. And when we moved out of that house, he threw the biggest fit. Like, he was opening and closing cupboards, dishes were flying out. The whole house was basically shaking like there was an earthquake going on. He was very upset that we were leaving because he was so attached to us. And I think he was just a distant relative of ours. But,
okay.
That was the first one my dad had seen. A guy in coveralls going into the attic. But yeah, when I was pregnant with my son... Okay, going back. Sorry, I was trying to jump forward. My dad was the one who believed in UFOs and such. And I'd hear him talk about these different things. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of out of my realm. I've never witnessed or really heard of things like that. And like you're saying, Unsolved Mysteries and X-Files, all these different things started coming out on TV that are like, whoa, I've witnessed that, or I understand that, or so on and so forth. And at a yard sale, my aunt was trying to sell his book, which I have on my bookshelf right now. I was like, heck no, you're not taking this. And so it's on there. It's got UFOs and aliens and whatnot in it. He's the one that clued me in on UFOs. I never witnessed one until I was pregnant with my son, which he's now 6 years old. So about 6 years ago, I'm driving home with my two daughters in the car, and Nova's like, Mom, what is that? Why is it following us? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking maybe the moon. You know how sometimes it comes out during the day and you can see it? I'm thinking maybe she's seeing the moon. And she's like, no, Mom, it's like this orangish, reddish, like, ball, and it's following us. And so I stop at the stop sign from Rainbow Road going into Bayfield, and I jump out of my Gran Torino, and I'm looking up, and there's this orb with orange, yellow, and red color in it. It's kind of like liquid fire, but it's so high above it looks like pretty small. And I'm like, what is that? And Nova's like, Mom, just get in the car. Mom, just get in the car. Please just get in the car. So I get in and I go home and we talk about it, but we don't try to go out and try to find it because we're not going to. And then after I have my son and I'm holding him, he's probably, I think he's like 2 months old at this time. And I'm thinking about Dylan Redwine missing, and he went missing on Thanksgiving break, but here it is December, and I'm hoping that his dad is just hiding him out again like he had before. I'm hoping he's safe and warm wherever he's at, because I'm looking into this horse pasture, and it's covered in snow, and the moonlight is beaming so brightly off of it. I'm just hoping he's okay. And all of a sudden, I see this orb again, and this time it's like 3 or 4 feet in circumference or diameter or whatnot, and it has the liquid fire flowing through it clockwise. You see the yellow, the orange, the red going around basically in a circle, and it's going at a slow walking pace along our back fence. So I'm wondering, is it because of my son? Like, my son was born with 6 fingers on one hand, basically, and I hadn't seen anything before that, so I'm wondering if he's kind of connected to that, and now both him and my youngest daughter are having these experiences. It really makes me wonder, is it connected to him or her? Like, what
Yeah.
exactly is going on? Why are they here now when I haven't seen them before? And I've taken so many pictures that I'm like, holy shnikes, what's going on? It's insane.
Yeah, no, honestly, not to alarm you, but there might be a level of hybridization involved. Especially like I'm picking up right now, like with genetic, like it's genetic. So that's a word that's just coming to me.
Yeah.
The genetic makeup of your children are very intriguing.
Well, I think it might be within me as well because I did DNA cancer screening because my grandmother had breast cancer that spread to her lungs. Supposedly,
Yes.
by rumor, my mother had like 5 different cancers when they did the autopsy, which I'm like, sometimes things happen for a reason. She was killed by a drunk driver because had she not, she would have died horribly and slowly by cancer. So I'm like, please do this genetic screening on me. And they did. All the cancer precursors and such came back clean. Everything was fine. But there's a genetic anomaly in there that they don't know what it is. So I'm like, does it start with me? I'm like, where is this coming from? Is it spreading to my kids? Like, what exactly is happening? Am I an Allen? I'm just kidding. Or hybrid or whatnot. Like, some people know when they're hybrids. They just know. But for me, it didn't start happening until my son was born. That I remember.
Yeah. Okay. So no, that's awesome. I find that awesome and very intriguing. No, I'm getting like a whole brain buzz thing going on, and when you're saying hybrid or Alan, it's like that's the brain buzz thing because I pay attention to body feels and. Certain vibrations can mean like a yes or a no, or male or female. And yes, this is actually coming from like your mother's line, and the whole Allen vibe is pinging to a yes. There is like hybridization.
Those damn Allens and their UFOs.
I know. No, that's really interesting. Maybe later we can explore this further. But definitely, because there is that vibe there that, I'm getting confirmation that, yes, what you have said is absolutely truthful and that there's more to it. So, and yes, the hybridization and the correlation with that fireball is very, very specific.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely like to delve into it more. And with my kids' dream, it was more of a spacecraft, the disc shape with the door open. And it's back here where my office is. It's right here behind the trees. And they were talking about how they can see the lights and the door was open and they didn't want to go on, but they had to because these alien creatures were basically making them. And then they were trying to escape and attacking the aliens and everything. And it was so funny. They were laughing about it and everything. But, makes me think that something was actually going on. Like, we slept through it, but the kids both experienced it. So, I believe them. When they're telling me, I'm like, I believe you. If you remember anything else, tell me more. And if there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. But a lot of times, when you hear about this, oh, wow, the cats are fighting in the next room. I don't know. I just want to be supportive of them and make them feel like they're not crazy and give them any help that I can. But on that point, Nikki in the chat room is asking, Megan, in your experiences when on a case, have you ever seen any type of alien in astral form attached to a human being at the top of the human's head, where the alien has attached themselves to the human, kind of like a hitchhiker, where the alien feeds off the energy or tries to control the human at times?
Yes. I personally call that hijacking. And that is very, very possible. I've seen it a handful of times. I have seen 2 versions of this hitchhiking and hijacking. So hijacking is where basically they take your ethereal cord, which is that cord that comes out the top of your head, and they embed themselves in it. And they can read every single thought or feeling that you are having in a cognizant manner. The other version is where they actually attach briefly then they give you an implant. And this would be a real-life visitation. They implant into your brain a small chip or device, and actually the spot in the brain that they implant causes you to have very vivid hallucinations. And that is more of a holographic type issue. So, but yes, I have seen both. I have actually removed a holographic inducing implant astrally. And the thing is, those types of attachments where they occur on your ethereal cord, they are largely astral. It is very, very similar to a psychic attack. So, people can break that contract by requesting, if it does not serve them in their highest power in this life, they can do a little bit of a meditation and ask for that to be removed. Break that contract, sever that cord, because it does not serve us in our highest good as a human.
And we hear about energy vampires all the time, and we're thinking people, which there are people out there that suck your energy, and I like to call some of them ask-holes. Like, they ask and ask and ask the same question over and over and over, and no matter how many times you give them the correct advice, they just keep asking over and over again and not dealing with the issue and just letting it continue to go, and they just drain your freaking energy. Then there's spirits that do the same thing, and then we're talking about aliens. Or Allens, I like to call them, that come in and do the same thing. Like, wow. Like, I've never heard of aliens doing that, but it's very, very interesting and intriguing prospect that I've now learned.
Yes. So, yes, energy vampires. That's a whole different can of worms if we want to get into that.
Sure.
Aliens, some species do not understand human emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually will do this to try to put themselves into our daily experiences. That way they can kind of start to grasp what it is that makes us tick. Why do we feel love? Why do we feel sadness? What is pain? Like, this is stuff they don't understand, especially with the Greys, because certain Greys have drones. And so a lot of the scientific Greys will actually have a drone force that will come and try to learn by proxy, by tapping into us. And that all goes back into, there's contracts that the Americans have dealt with, the Greada Treaty, where Eisenhower signed over, you can abduct X amount of people for X amount of technology.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is very interesting because the Greys were very interested in finding out and researching humans. So they thought that was a good trade. And
it's very interesting, yet at the same time it's shameful. Like, come on.
Right. But think about what we do with animals in the zoo. Think about what we do with pandas.
That's why I won't go to a zoo. I don't agree with it. Like, last time I went, it was Easter, and these poor gorillas, are going crazy. Okay, there's one that's happy and doesn't care. He probably just got there. But there's one in the background just sitting there banging his head on the wall. Banging, banging, banging. And these guys are going crazy. They're in this small envelopment. They need a bigger space. And what are you doing? Like, this is cruelty. Even these lizards and snakes and birds and all these other things. Like, the eagle couldn't even open its wings to spread it out. Like, it was, you know how you get restless legs? It's like this eagle was getting restless wings. And I'm like, I am never, ever, ever again going to a zoo because this is cruelty. You shouldn't be doing this. There's ways to witness these animals. Like, you can watch it on TV. Go watch National Discovery. Like, why go support a zoo? Okay, some of them are okay. Yep. Supposedly, San Diego Zoo is recouping these different animals. But I don't agree with it. Like, it's just cruel and unusual punishment. And it doesn't matter if you're human or animal or the like, reptilian, whatnot. Yep. You deserve to have a free and happy life. And to me, I can't support that. I can't go back anymore.
No, and no, I mean, I do not agree with certain aspects of a zoo. And if you look at it from a scientific manner, we behaviorally study them, and then also we try to encourage breeding programs with other zoos. And so if you look at it like that, and then in relation to off-worlders, certain off-worlders cannot reproduce. And there you have the hybrid program. Okay, they are actually mining DNA from humans and utilizing it for their own breeding program. And it's like, that's very interesting. But we do the same thing. You know, I mean, we are, inseminating pandas, San Diego Zoo and Seattle Zoo, and they have panda babies. And then everybody's happy because of the panda babies, but we're really not looking at the bigger picture where we are holding something captive, forcibly breeding them to see the results.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what these off-worlders are doing in the Greys, the ones that signed the Eisenhower-Greada Treaty. They are doing essentially the same. Okay, this is an interesting breeding program for them. And I do have astral experiences with this. I have seen adult hybrids contacted by Greys, in astral. And I can confirm that because they were part of a contract. And so I was able to help that client break that contract. And hopefully, her children can either negate that contract or, not have the repercussions their mother did, because her children are also hybrids.
Yeah, it's crazy when you discover these things. It's like, really? Because a lot of things have been erased from your mind and you don't remember. And then your kids are telling you all these things and you're just like, holy shnikes, what's happening? It's insanity.
Yeah.
Sir Robin in the chat room is asking, what is it when someone can see is draining a person like in a hospital, that it jumps to a healthier host but is able to heal a person that is brain dead? I haven't heard of that.
So, hold on. I don't think I fully understand the question. So, a healthy person can jump to somebody that is technically brain dead and then, revive them?
I don't know. Let me read it again. What is it when someone can see... Okay. Someone can see something
that's
that
the
is...
part that's throwing me off. Okay.
Yeah, because I think we're missing a word or two. Somebody that can see an entity or whatever that is draining a person like in a hospital, then it jumps to a healthier host but is able to heal a person that is brain dead. I don't know. I hope he can rephrase that because I'm kind of... Okay. I don't want to answer that because I'm kind of lost on it. But you can, if you'd like.
There is something called soul transfer.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where two people just happen to pretty much die at the same moment, but maybe one is recalled. And so it would be an out-of-body experience for both souls. And maybe the soul gets crisscrossed and the other soul, maybe a younger, vibrant soul that was a victim of a car crash, ends up inadvertently going back to the wrong body.
Mm-hmm.
That is called soul transfer. There has been a couple documented cases of it, supposedly, and that would also explain somebody waking up from a coma with 1, different memories, 2, maybe a completely different personality, and even 3, talking with a different dialect. So there was a recent case where a woman woke up from a coma. She was in the coma for 6 weeks. She was in her mid-30s. When she woke up, she actually had a French accent.
Oh, yeah, so weird.
Yes. So that is what I would call soul transfer. Because when your soul leaves your body, when your actual soul leaves your body, you are clinically dead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But your soul can come back. You get one, maybe 2 chances to come back if given that opportunity. Now, when you go into a different body, that is called soul transfer.
Have you seen the medical study where they're talking about this energy, and it's kind of at the base of the neck, and even 10, 20, 30 minutes after the person is dead, they see on these scans this energy that is still there. It's like an energy ball at the base of the brain or the neck, which is basically what I think could be the soul, your spiritual energy, just kind of waiting there. A lot of times it goes out immediately. Sometimes it hangs around trying to, come on, come back. And even though the brain waves are gone, the heartbeat's gone, all this other stuff is gone, there's still that little ball of energy there. And I found that very interesting and intriguing. When I read that medical journal that was talking about that, I'm like, wow, what is that? Is that the soul? Is that the spiritual energy? What is that? Because they say when we die, we don't really die. We just kind of move on to the next realm. Or we're always energy. Energy never dies. We're always here.
Yep, and it's cyclic. It renews. You know, you can improve it, or you can allow it to deteriorate.
Well, and a lot of times, like, you know, you and I know, going on paranormal investigations and such, you can go out with a full battery on your phone, your camera, whatnot. These spirits know how to tap into that and drain it. Like, it can drain immediately. And you're like, what the heck is happening? Like, this was fully charged, now it's dead. It's because they know how to tap in and to gain that energy. A lot of times it's from the housing of the electrical unit with the lights and such going on in the house or wherever you're at. But sometimes it gets closer to you and drains your phones, your cameras, any sort of technology you're trying to use that runs on batteries. It's pulling from that to try to communicate or to try to show itself. What have you found with that?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? My phone was just starting to blow up all of a sudden.
Uh-oh. Oh, no, I was talking about battery drain on different things that we use as far as cameras, cell phones, so on and so forth. Even though there's the cords and such running through the house, running the lights, so on and so forth, I think they try to get closer to you to try to communicate with you, and they pull off your phone battery, your camera batteries, whatever other kind of equipment you're trying to use, whether it's trying to communicate or trying to appear to you.
Yep. So, no, I've dealt with that both in the human physical realm and astrally. I have experienced battery drain personally, as well as different sites that I go and investigate with clients. Definitely, a lot of energy can manifest, and they will rob the battery to manifest. You know, whether it is a simple EVP, or, you know, maybe an orb, a very bright orb shooting across your camera lens while you're recording, and then all of a sudden your battery depletes. It is energy transference. And that is also why I guess I have a really good grasp on astral, is because I understand the energy that a spirit can manifest. And so when I go astral, I kind of have to match that energy or exceed it in order to communicate with it, because I kind of, you know, if a client is reporting that their batteries on their cell phone aren't holding a charge, or maybe they've got battery-powered flashlight that just dies all of a sudden, you know, stuff like that. You know, maybe their microwave went on the fritz. It is one of those things where that's very valuable information as an investigator, both astrally and in the physical realm, that I can end up, like, utilizing to gauge the strength and severity of the entity that might be haunting them.
And it makes me
if
wonder.
You've got a battery depleter, those that can deplete a battery are actually more powerful than, like, going to a normal cemetery, and you can run around for a whole hour before maybe your camera starts to lose a charge.
Yeah, it just depends on what's there at the time. But it makes me wonder, like, even though you have the lights off, if you choose to do so, there's still energy running through those lines. Why is it that our electronic devices are more susceptible than pulling from the power lines in the house. It makes you wonder, is it because they're trying to be close to you as an individual, or is it a more pure or saturated energy than going through the lines? Like, I don't know. It's very questionable to me. Like, what exactly is happening?
That comes down to acknowledgement. Sheer acknowledgement, because if you can look at your cell phone and go, what? I just had this on the charger. I know that my phone was 90% charged, and now it's like blinking at me, 13%, you're going to die soon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you acknowledge that. And in that acknowledgement, you too are becoming the battery and feeding this entity or spirit.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's feeding off your negative energy of stressing out, like, what's happening with my battery? Like, this was at 90%, now it's at 10%. Like, what the heck is going on?
Yep.
What the crack? So yeah, I can see that, not only feeding off the battery, but feeding off your negative energy of stressing out over why your battery has died. Makes complete and utter total sense. Thank you for clarifying that for me.
You're welcome. Yeah, and then, we can go right into energy vamps if you want.
Yeah, and we're about to go to our first break here in about T-minus 10 seconds and counting. 8, 7, 6, 5. So you guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages with Megan Gehring.
Looking for nighttime adventure? Old school radio that delves into everything out of the norm? Then check us out at Spaced Out Radio. This is Dave Scott. Every Monday through Friday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, we're going to take you on a wild ride ranging from conspiracies to true crime and every ghost, alien, and Sasquatch story in between. We're always live, and we're always interactive with you. So join us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, we own the night.
Hey, guess what? You can now get your brand new Spaced Out Radio swag at spacedoutradio.com. We've brought the store back with all new items for you to pick out and pick up for yourself, your family, or friends. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, we got it all. All you have to do is head to our website and click on Store. Choose what you want and it's shipped to you. The Spaced Out Radio store is right there for you. Come shop with us at spacedoutradio.com. Then we can own the night together.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com. If you're heading to Vancouver, make sure you stop by the official bar of Spaced Out Radio, the Moose Vancouver. It's the place to party in YVR. At the corner of Nelson and Granville, the Moose Vancouver is always up to speed with a kitchen staff that serves great food. All food on the menu, $6.95 to $8.95. There's a reason the Moose Vancouver is recognized as one of the hottest spots on the West Coast. Get your horns up for the Moose Vancouver.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You can follow Tessa on Twitter at TessaTNT, on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now, back to Spaced Out Weekend host, Tessa Nicole Thomas.
Here's a sound again, voices dancing in my head, smile.
Hey guys, welcome back, and thanks so much for being here tonight. Tonight we have Megan Gehring, and we're talking about the paranormal, empathic gifts and such, as well as astral travel and conspiracies. Hey Megan, welcome back to the show. It's so awesome to have you.
Yes, no, still excited to be here. Thank you.
No worries. And I hope you've been having a good time so far. I have, and I've been so intrigued and interested by what you've been talking about so far. I'm just like, hang on every word you say. So, we do have some questions in the chat room, but you had told me a week or so ago about this landslide that happened in your area. Can you fill us in on the landslide and what you've been dealing with as far as spirits coming to you in the aftermath?
Yeah, no, it has actually been really interesting. So, where I live is about 3 miles from one of the largest, actually the most deadliest landslide in U.S. history. It is called the Oso landslide, and that's O-S-O if anybody wants to Google it. 43 people lost their lives in the early morning hours. Well, not that early. It was 10 o'clock. Early for me. So about 10:40 in the morning on March 22nd, and that was 2014. And this area just completely wiped out a cul-de-sac neighborhood. It inundated pretty much, multiple houses and wiped out the entire neighborhood. There were people that were pulled alive from the mudslide, but 43 people lost their lives. And it closed down the major highway and kind of hit home for me because my husband had just been through there an hour previously. And there were actually cars that got caught up on the highway in travel, and those occupants were deceased. Basically, a 1 mile wide wall of mud ended up taking out the entire freeway area, or the highway, and it was really hard. It closed off our community from normal travel, normal life, for 8 months. Then it was one-way traffic up an access road, and after a year, we finally got the highway put back in. It was devastating to our community, being that 43 people lost their lives, and the highway was down for that amount of time. We are a mill town. Our industry is timber. That is like the only lifeline that's keeping the small town alive. The majority of these people work for the mill, and there were generations that were affected with this incident. It was due to, the state is claiming that it was due to a 20-year-old clear-cut project. However, we did have some instability that was addressed with this hillslide, and there was no earthquake reported during that time, but we did have a heavy, heavy, heavy amount of rain that spring. And I believe that liquefaction just caused it to slide, and it just blew out that whole, area. But after that initially happened, there was a huge amount of community outpouring, and I couldn't help physically because the government had stepped in and basically said that, civilians weren't allowed, even though that, like, myself and my husband were highly trained Marines. We couldn't go help with the search effort. So that was left up to the state search and rescue and the local authorities, the Department of Emergency Management, and it was basically a no zone. So after being told there's no way that we can help or else we'll be arrested, the only other way I could help was to become a beacon for souls. And I basically opened up my door and my heart to receive anybody from this incident. And I had a child come through. I had a man come through, and I also had a woman come through to me. And, that was immediately after the event. And then I crossed them over. I told them that they will never be forgotten because of the impact in the community. And no, they have not. So last Friday, we had the 5-year anniversary, and we were rededicating a portion of the road to name it the Oso Memorial Highway. And they had a huge ribbon cutting ceremony and everything. A few days prior, I actually was encountered by a very tall, slender, very almost an athletic type man. And he was lingering. And he was from the Oso Slide. And I told him, yes, he has not been forgotten. And he didn't say much, but he said, I love them. So them, I think, meant family and the people that tried. All the people that were involved. He just said them in general. And I crossed him over. And when I did, it was crazy emotional, and I don't know, to this day, I cannot drive that 1 mile stretch of road without turning off my radio. Sorry. I have to honor them every time I drive by there, and I just turn off my radio because it's my little 1 mile of silence because I've dealt with them. I'm sorry, Tessa. Hello?
Okay, so don't be sorry. Sorry, I had my mic muted. And my screen muted. But don't feel sorry because it's nothing to be sorry about. You have that respect for them in that moment of silence. There's nothing wrong with turning off your radio and driving that little stretch of mile. Who knows what you could hear or what could come through on your radio anyways. Like, it's just a moment of silence, a moment of respect for these people. All these people that lost their lives, and it is so emotionally draining and intriguing and so on and so forth. Like, it really does touch your heart and touch home, and how could you not feel anything for these people? Like, you don't even see this coming when it does, and you know what the hell is happening. Like, could you imagine going through that? Like, I can't. Like, your house is being swept away and you're being buried under tons and tons of mud and rubble and so on and so forth. Like, there's no way to really get out of it. And we actually had a lot of avalanches this last winter here in Colorado, which is much lighter than freaking mud and rocks and trees and all this other stuff that are coming down on your side of the area. But, I mean, there was this guy, and they did an article on him. Like, he was basically buried alive, and he was able to call emergency and say, hey, I'm stuck under this avalanche, and they were able to find him, and he was very lighthearted about it and so on and so forth. But there's people that get buried under avalanches all the time, and they do have different vests and stuff that can blow up and kind of make a bubble around you where you can breathe for at least a short amount of time until you die. But it's very scary, and it kind of makes you claustrophobic thinking about how you can be buried all of a sudden by all this mud and muck and rocks and trees and all kinds of things coming off the side of the mountain, or even snow and trees and so on and so forth. Like, it's just, so overwhelming to think about, and I can't imagine what they went through, and almost 50 people going through this. And this kid came to you to help him cross over because he was lost. Like, that is a great honor, and I'm so glad that you were there for him and you were able to help him.
Yeah, no, and I mean, that's still open, too, because I know I haven't crossed 43 people. I can't even go there.
No, and you haven't crossed them, but that's how many people passed. But this kid came to you, and I was asking you earlier on Skype, hey, have you had any more spirits come through from the slide? And you answered every other question besides that, and I can understand that because it is emotionally and physically taxing. Even though you didn't personally go through it, it still is draining on your emotions and your soul, your spirit, so on and so forth. Like, even though you didn't know them, you didn't go through it, you can have that connection with them being human and feeling the loss of life and the freaking struggle and the freaking craziness, like when this thing just comes over you without any warning. Like, you had no idea this was going to happen, and all of a sudden you're buried. Like, there's so many souls out there that have to be lost at this moment, that don't even realize they're dead because it happens so quickly. It's just kind of insane.
That's one of the things. Yeah. No, the realization, I mean, I have had to explain that I'm sorry you were dead to some spirits. And I'm like, how do you not know? Yeah. So, no, but Friday was the big 5-year anniversary ribbon cutting ceremony and everything. So I haven't had anything since, not this past Friday, but last Friday. So, yeah, it's been a quiet kind of week, which I'm thankful for. But on the other hand, I still, just because of the way I am and the way that I react to things, I cannot pull up to the memorial site that they built. I just can't.
So,
yeah.
I was muted again. But you're not weak. You just are empathic. You have that certain emotion for people, that feeling for people that love and whatnot for people. Like, you're not weak. And a lot of people think of being sad or dreary or whatever for certain reasons as a weakness, and it's really not. You know, that is kind of like a superpower or a strength that people have. You feel these emotions for people that, you, like I said before, you don't even know. But
oh no, and I totally get like surrogate emotions.
Yeah.
They're not mine. I'm just picking it up. And I mean, that's the crazy thing, I guess, is that I can pick up on other people's emotions and it affects me like they're mine. So.
Well, to me, that just means you're an amazing, epic, awesome human being to be able to feel that for people that you don't even know, you know, because a lot of people don't even care. They're like, whatever, it doesn't affect me. So what should I even care? Like, you should care. What if it was you? Like, what if it was you and nobody else cared? Wouldn't you kind of be insulted by that? Like, I would. I mean, I'm grateful that you care about these people that you don't even know, because it could have been you. It could have been me. It could have been BTO or Trip or Kat or whoever else in the chat room. It could have been one of us, but it wasn't. We were lucky enough that it wasn't, but it was 49 other people that could have been us. How many people are in the chat room? Like, it could have been all of us. We could have been in a town together, and all of us are buried under this stack of rocks and boulders and mud. Like, all this crazy stuff that you don't even expect to happen. All of a sudden it hits you, and you don't even know what to do. You don't even know how to react to protect yourself or whatnot. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, right now I'm so frustrated by it. Like, oh, I can't imagine, like, how these spirits are feeling. Like, what happened? Where am I? Like, why is it so dark? Or what's going on? How come I feel like I can't breathe? Like, what are these different things that I'm feeling? Even though you're a spirit being, and we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, these people are lost because they were taken by surprise. They had no warning, really. They might have heard some rumble. Perhaps they didn't. Perhaps they were sleeping. Perhaps they were watching TV. Perhaps they had the microwave going. Like, so many different things could have been happening at the time. They didn't even know anything was coming, and all of a sudden they're gone. Like, I cannot even imagine, like, you're driving down a highway, you see a car coming, you know you're about to die. That's one thing. But you get buried in your own home. That's a completely other different freaking scenario. And it's mind-blowing to me. Like, I can't even imagine.
No. And with those that have came to me for help and crossing over, I saw snippets of what they were doing. Like, that was their last memory. And, like, there was a little boy, and he came to me, and he actually asked me to sing him happy birthday because his birthday was coming up.
Yeah.
And I don't know him, and I actually had to, like, look it up later, and his birthday was 6 days away. When he came to see me for the crossover, his birthday was 6 days away, and he just asked me to sing happy birthday for him, and I did, and I'm bawling my head off in the kitchen while I'm doing it, but I saw that he was really excited because he was actually making breakfast when this happened. And him and two of his siblings were in the kitchen with his father, and they were so excited because it was Dad's weekend home, and I saw that.
How old was he going to be?
So he was going to be 8.
Good Lord.
And, yeah, it was very hard. It was very hard. And I was just like, oh, my goodness. So, you know, I sang him happy birthday. And, you know, I gave him a big hug. And I sent him over. And I told him that, you know, he doesn't have to worry about his little brother because his little brother he survived. He was a survivor of the slide. And he was so concerned about his little brother, who was like 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, my goodness, like, this is so real. It was so real and so powerful.
And it's so amazing how that happens. It makes you wonder, who is this little brother going to be? Like, he was able to survive this. Who is he going to be? Is he going to be president one day, or who exactly is he going to be? What change is he going to bring to the earth? And it's, like, very interesting and intriguing, all these lost lives and these survivors that come through, especially this little 3-year-old boy. Like, holy shnikes, who is he? What's he going to do to change the world? Because he survived for a reason.
Yeah. So, no, it's all very interesting, and, I mean, I don't know, that's kind of why I'm a homebody, because I really don't like to go out and subject myself to the feels out there, but I am getting better at, like, blocking or shielding, but it's been a lifelong thing, and I just sometimes think I'm hypersensitive, and, I mean, mind you, I don't have, like, a whole rush of spirit activity running through my house. I limit it. But for the people that were affected with the Oso slide, that is an open door. Because that's just right down the road from me. I mean, that could have been us if it was this hill, kind of thing. And, I would want an open door policy if I was a spirit, so I just kind of put that out there. And, this 5-year anniversary was actually the most active that it has been. So I'm kind of curious to understand why, because the first year it was kind of in and out, and then the second year there was a little bit more activity, and then third and fourth year there wasn't much. And then the 5th year anniversary, I don't know if it's because they were making a big deal out of it, like, were these spirits maybe feeding off the celebration of the 5-year anniversary and, like, the big deal about renaming the portion of the road? I mean, this was like state legislature type, activity.
Well, I think they're just lost, and then all of a sudden they're finally coming to a realization, hey, we're all dead, so we got to find somebody to help us to get to the other side. What do? We don't know what to do. Like, we're lost and kind of stuck here, and it's so wonderful that you're there and kind of close by, and you're able to help these different spirits. How many do you think you've helped so far?
With the slide, altogether, there's been 4 total. So,
well, and
many.
Well, once 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 find you, you're going to be like a magnet, and more are going to come to you to help them cross over because they don't know what exactly is going on. They're kind of lost at this point. Which is, to me, scary. Like, I can't even imagine being there. And I think about the other side all the time. I have since I was like 5, almost 6 years old, with my mom being passed. But I'm just like, what would I do if I'm dead? Like, if I know I'm dead, I can do so many different things that my mom said she could do. But if I don't know I'm dead, I remember being in a car accident going off Piedra River Road and watching as I'm crashing off this 50-foot cliff. And as soon as I'm about to hit, I close my eyes, and then I'm hanging upside down by the button of my vest that I was wearing, and went home and thinking that night, like, what if I'm really dead? What if I'm not alive right now? Like, what if I go back to the car and I find myself in the car dead? It's intriguing. It's a mystery. Like, you could be alive and think you're dead, or you could be dead and think you're alive. Like, there's so many different variations that could be happening that are so intriguing and enthralling and overwhelming, really.
Yes. And no, I totally had to explain to a spirit that they were dead.
That would be so hard.
That's the exact thing. And it's like they were so angry because they saw their wife and their child, and they were growing up, and she was ignoring him.
Why won't she talk to me?
And it was like, right? And he was getting very angry, and he even told me, I've gotten right in her face. I've tried to push her, and she doesn't pay attention. She's not listening. And I'm like, because you're dead? Like, I'm sorry to break this to you, but you have been dead. You're done, and she's in grief, and she's trying to move on. And he is showing me, like, getting up in her face and, like, screaming at her, like, why don't you hear me, kind of thing. And this was just a random soul that came to me. It wasn't a case or anything, and it was kind of like I had to explain it that he was dead, and he died in a car crash, and that is why he still feels like he needs to go to work, that he needs to come home, and that he needs to try and interact with his son, kind of thing. And it was like, once he realized it, his like spiritual energy just immediately like dimmed, and then I'm like, do you want to cross over? Like, you'll be better for it. And he actually told me he needed some time.
You're like, I can help you.
Yeah, and he said he actually needed some time, and I told him, well, I'll give you a couple days.
That reminds me of when I had this house in Mancos, Colorado, and it was for sale, and at this particular moment, we were at my uncle's house, and my landlord called me, and he's like, hey, is the house nice and clean? Because we're going to have people walking through to buy it. Well, this house was composed of like 3 shacks that came from Mesa Verde. 3 shacks put together to make a house. And so I went there by myself to vacuum, and as I'm vacuuming, there's a spirit like, ah! Like screaming in my ears, and I'm like, man, I gotta get this done really quick because the spirit is like screaming in my ears and I don't know why. Like, why is the spirit so angry at me? Like, I'm not trying to sell this house. I'm just living here. Why is the spirit so angry with me? And I could not wait to put the vacuum cleaner away and get the heck out of there. And never again would I go to that house all by myself, because that's the only time it really verbally attacked me. It was just like screaming in my ears, and I didn't understand why. And I think I felt threatened, but, yeah, I was just screaming full-fledged in my ears, and so maybe he was trying to get my attention, or he or she, whoever it was. I also had a spirit cat in that house, but this thing was screaming at me, and I don't know if it was because it didn't like the energy or the sound of the vacuum, or if it was trying to tell me it was there, or what exactly was going on, but it really freaked me out. I was like, I'm never going back there again by myself. Totally freaked me out. But it was very interesting and intriguing. And sometimes spirits have a different way of communicating. Nobody hears them saying words because it's like a small whisper, like you can't hear what they're saying. Or you can hear them on the other side of the room, and you're like, I can hear them talking, but I can't make it out exactly what they're saying. You know, you can hear them talking, they're arguing, or they're talking, or having a discussion, but you can't make out exactly the words they're saying. So you're just, like, trying to figure out what it is. I mean, there's so many different variables, and the regular world and the spirit world, we're all going to be part of the spiritual world someday, but trying to make it out is very interesting and intriguing, and I can understand the frustration of being on the other side and being like, hey, can you hear me? Like screaming in somebody's ear like this one was to me. Ah! And I'm like, holy crap, I gotta get out of here. It freaked me out so bad. Like, I didn't want to hear what it was saying. I just wanted to get out of there. But perhaps it was trying to share a message with me, like, don't sell this house, or whatever the heck it was trying to say. Oh, no. It was quite freaky, is all I can say.
Oh, no, definitely. And my take on that being that you were vacuuming during this time, I would almost think that maybe the spirit was trying to take advantage of the white noise factor generated by the vacuum. I mean,
it was just all around me and like, in my ear, and I'm like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
No. Only when I was vacuuming. Every time I was vacuuming, it was like just kind of screaming in my ear, and like I felt like I just had to get out of there. But I think it was trying to tell me something, but it couldn't, because that's the only time it could come through, and it was just like basically just screaming in my ear, and I was just like, I gotta get out of here. It was really intense and crazy and overwhelming. Like, I was so fearful. And generally, I'm pretty brave, but this thing scared the holy shnikes out of me. I was just like, I gotta get out of here, I'm never coming back alone. I felt like I needed to get out. Like, it didn't want me there. It didn't want the house to be sold. It wanted us to stay there, perhaps, is what its message was, but there's nothing I could really do about that, because I couldn't afford to buy a house at that point. But yeah, it was very upset.
Yeah, No, and I mean, no, I believe spirits can attach to different humans. You know, if they liked your energy, maybe this guy loved you in a spiritual sense, you know, and so here you are vacuuming, and then all of a sudden it's trying to generate some type of, you know, or take advantage of the energy that you were generating by using the vacuum. And therefore, it was trying to give you a message, but maybe he wasn't as powerful as he thought. And that's why you got the feels associated with it, and maybe the quick visual. You know?
Yeah, I could just see this thing like screaming and having its hands like up like this, like ah at me. Maybe it just wanted me to stop because he's like, quit vacuuming, make this look less, you know, nice as it is. Which I always kept my house really clean. All I had to do was vacuum the cracker crumbs or whatever my 2-year-old daughter was eating off the carpet to make it look presentable. And he's just like, ah, like screaming at me, like, stop. I don't know. Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, or the vibrations of the vacuuming might have been disturbing him. I mean, that is something, too. They can become disturbed by a variable in vibrations, you know, so...
Well, Megan in the chat room, or I'm sorry, Sharon in the chat room was asking, what does Megan do that is different than regular paranormal investigation?
Oh, man. Okay. So the feels are major. I know some investigators don't believe in the feels.
Your gut instinct? That's my number one tool.
Yeah. So, no, the gut instinct, the empathic capabilities. The funniest thing happened when I first joined a paranormal group down in Yuma, Arizona. My lead investigator, Don, was walking in this like hallway area, and he was like, so wait, where are you guys from? I was like, oh, Seattle. Because I'm not going to say concrete Washington. You can't find that on a map. So, you know, I just said like concrete, you know, Seattle. It's closer. And
yeah, they're like,
goes,
city folk, get a rope.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, you're one of those hippy-dippy, feely type of gals, huh, that like to touch the walls. And he turned around, and my hand is actually on the wall. And I just looked at him like, what? Like, oh, shit, you caught me, you know, kind of thing. And so I dropped my hand immediately and was kind of like embarrassed about the whole thing. But I was feeling the house. I was feeling the house. You know, and it was kind of one of those things because he just claimed that, you know, oh, these people from Seattle are all hippy-dippy, touchy-feely kind of thing. And it was kind of a personal jab, but on the other hand, this guy was previous military, very stern, you know, type attitude, and he had his own beliefs, which I respected, but we made a great team, and he accepted my, I guess, Seattle take on investigation. But the other thing that I've added that is a very unique quality is the astral portion of investigation. And that actually, I have went to a location, boots on the ground investigation, and then went back astrally to rectify the situation. So, you know, I don't know if any investigators out there have actually physically closed a portal, but I have physically closed a portal, and I've astrally had to come back and close a portal. So I think that that is a very unique skill. It's a very practiced skill. It takes a lot of work and dedication to achieve this, and I am very proud of it. And I just kind of incorporate that to like a client care aspect. And, you know, I'm, like I said, very proud that I have achieved astral and can utilize it to benefit people in the paranormal.
And you just started doing that this last year in 2018. How did you actually discover and be able to envelop and use this gift doing the astral field?
So I actually met with a medium out in town locally, and I was discussing with her, because she was part of a paranormal team, I was discussing with her, potential about joining this team, just, boots on the ground. I'm curious about this. I've done this before, so being as I've moved locations and I'm no longer in Yuma, Arizona and attached with my original team, I kind of want to find a local group to hang with. And so she was kind of like the meet and greet person. And I ended up telling her that, well, what's really funny is I have these psychic dreams. Mm-hmm. And so once we got talking, and like 1 hour turned into 2 hours, turned into 4 hours, and then it was like, I got to pick the kids up from school kind of thing. I mean, it was supposed to be a 1 hour meeting, and we ended up spending 6 hours together like a blink.
Yeah, it goes by so fast. You're like, what the crack happened? Like, where'd the time go?
Yeah, so we got lost in conversation and everything, but I ended up divulging that I have like these psychic dreams, and I don't put much thought into them, and she laughed and said, you are, what you're doing is basically an uncontrolled dream state astral. And I'm like, I've never heard of this, tell me more. And so she did. Well, I ended up contacting someone who could train us through the astral process. And so, it was a couple months from the initial meeting to actually experiencing a full awake astral state. But basically, once I taught my body to relax enough to let my astral body leave my physical body, I can do it in a awake state and have control over where I go or who I'm dealing with as a client. That right there was like amazing. Because beforehand, in the dream state, I guess I was just going where I saw on TV or people in need that were reaching out, and I was drawn to certain places or events type thing. I ended up on a lot of military bases, uncontrolled, astral.
Yeah, very weird.
I ran from a German Shepherd one time, and that's what was weird, is because I had been there before and there wasn't a dog, and then I realized, oh, I'm back here, and then there's a dog chasing me, and it was like
no, Shep,
real
go
life.
Go back, Shep, no!
Oh. It was a real life threat, and like I woke up in an absolute panic, and when I woke up, I jerked. Well, to think about it, when I jerked awake, that was my astral body coming back to my real body. And
you
then
kind
it
of jolt
sense.
into yourself. You're like, look. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that totally made sense because my dreams were so vivid and so real, and I could interact, and I could change the outcome of the dream in quotes. I could change the outcome by doing different things. So.
And it's funny because over here on my right screen, I could see BTO, but he's not there. Like, I was like, whoa, I saw BTO's face, but he's not there. But over here I see BTO's question, and he's asking, what is the difference between out-of-body experiences, remote viewing, astral, and spirit traveling, and does one's soul actually leave one's body, or is there an umbilical cord that keeps one's spirit attached to one's soul and body?
Okay, excellent questions. I'll try and cover it all. Okay, so I do remote viewing.
You said do-do. I'm just kidding.
It's a very long question, but I understand it, so that's good. Yay me! But
yay!
I know. So with remote viewing, I call that my taste test, and I will remote view before I take on a case. And basically, what that entails is psychically projecting myself into the situation that I'm being asked to evaluate. So if a client contacts me and says, hey, I think I might have a possible, attachment, or there's a really weird feel in my house, I don't have to go fully astral. I kind of do a semi-meditative state, and I can project myself mentally, and I can receive psychic information. Like, I can immediately tell if it's a man or a woman entity, if it's a non-human entity, and sometimes I'm drawn to an object, such as, a desk. And then I make notes, and when I go fully astral, I can go back in the astral realm and actually investigate that desk or whatever item piqued my interest, I should say. So remote viewing is just a mental type projection. There is no out-of-body experience involved with that. It is largely mental, but I have to achieve like a meditative state to do so. I can, be here talking to you and actually remote view. So that is very interesting, and I know that a lot of people actually do that. They will get kind of a mental image or a feeling, and that is largely related to, the remote viewing. Out of body, as I understand it, your physical body can experience a trauma, a car accident, a medical issue, and this is where the majority of accounts come from. So when you go out of body, drug overdoses, that's a really good one too. Your body, is in a static state. Okay, you're breathing, your heart's beating, your brain is still functioning. However, you feel and see clearly that your soul has left your body. And then sometimes you want it back, and so you pull yourself back into the body. Near-death experiences, very good example of out-of-body experiences. Astral is similar, but there's no body trauma involved. It is a self-induced, hypnosis type state that I have to go into, and I do a count backwards breathing exercise. I hit all my chakra points in my body. I make sure they're clear. I do my breathing, and as my breathing slows, my body feels like I can release my astral self. And so I let my astral self go. I, more often than not, can turn around with my astral self and see my body. But I don't consider it an out-of-body because technically I'm pushing my astral body out to the astral plane. And that is where I can manipulate or interact with energies out on the astral plane and rectify a situation such as, an attachment or a haunting, or a simple crossover. I've done a lot of crossovers astrally. I've also investigated land history, and I've also rewound to 1973 and figured out a cold case murder. So all astrally, and that information is imprinted on the energy of the environment, and it's there. You just need to ask the right questions and interpret it.
Mm-hmm. And Nikki in the chat room was saying, "Thank you, Megan, for doing that for the slide victims who passed." And I'm so grateful that you did that as well. I'm so grateful that you were there for them and able to help them cross over, because there's not a lot of help out there. And that's how I feel with my team. There's not a lot of help out there. That's why we don't charge. We just try to help people and do what we can do. And we're not charging because that would be taking advantage. We're just trying to help.
Yes. Yes. And no, Nikki, thank you. That really, really means a lot to me. And I keep putting it out there. The door is open for these people. I just, like I said, don't have it within myself right now to stop at the memorial. So maybe I'll make it a point to try and do that. But it means a lot. And, secondly, I guess, is, the spirit world is very misunderstood. And somebody who charges for an investigation, or people who are charging, in general to have people call in or come in or become clients, and these clients are paying for some kind of paranormal resolution. That never sets well with me. You know, I happily volunteer time to do this, you know, because I feel it's something I owe, maybe the universe, maybe I feel like I owe the universe, but I know that not everybody can do this. And so I really do enjoy dealing with spirits. And I mean, I don't know, people, real life people, I'm like, maybe I'm starting to prefer spirits. Like, sometimes real life people are just terrible, selfish people, and then I deal with spirits, and they're so refreshing. Or, you know, you say one thing and then they totally understand. And it's a beautiful evolution in the spirit world, and it'll never get old in my eyes. I would always prefer to deal with the spirits, you know.
Yeah, it's so interesting and intriguing, and when spirits come through, it's like, what do I do? I mean, okay, so last week, okay, let's say 2 weeks ago, my son saw basically the Hat Man right in front of my studio door. My husband went out to the kitchen to grab water or whatever, and my son is sitting here in the bedroom, and he sees this man with a hat on pointing at him, and he thought it was a gun, but I think it was just his finger. But he's like, there's a shadow man with a hat on, and yada yada, so on and so forth, and looked like a cowboy hat, but I'm not sure. And he was pointing something at me, and I was like, I can send you these pictures that I looked up for Kinsey, because Kinsey's telling me these certain things. Kinsey is my oldest daughter, and my husband's like, no, not tonight, because the kids got to sleep, yada yada, so on and so forth. And I'm like, okay, we'll wait till tomorrow. As soon as I got home the next day, my son is like, Mom, can you show me what this shadow person looked like this hat man? Because I want to know who it was. And so I showed him these pictures. He's like, that's him, that's the hat man. And it showed, you know, the same vision as the hat man as everybody else had seen. And he may have been pointing at him with a finger or a gun or whatever, but he saw the hat man. 2 days later,
okay,
my oldest daughter saw the Hat Man in her house. And I went over with my husband to investigate, and she's like, there he is. He's right there on the wall. And then she'd run away and be like, oh my God, he's like lunging at me. And she'd be like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and running away from this thing. And I'm like, you need to quit doing that. You're feeding him your negative energy. You're being afraid of him, and you need to quit doing that. Instead of running away, you got to just face him and be like, F you, Hat Man. Like, you got to stop your shenanigans, and let's move on from there. And so she saged her house, except for her bedroom, where the attic was, where the satanic books and other things were found. She saged everywhere but her bedroom. And I'm like, okay, that must be some sort of spiritual block that you didn't do that, because she knows how to do it. She's watched me do it since she was a child.
Yeah.
So then she's finally like, okay, I'm just ignoring it. I'm going to ignore it. I'm not going to give it any more attention, and it's going to be okay. And it has been so far. Like, she hasn't had any more issues. She's been fine. No more issues, because she's ignoring it, not giving it the energy, and it's kind of going somewhere else. Hopefully it'll be gone soon. But it's still there, but she's not feeding it anymore, which is a good point.
No, that's wonderful. And I mean, it does take a lot to shift that mentality, you know, into don't even acknowledge this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think. Okay, so you Googled images of the Shadow Man or the Hat Man.
Yeah, he always looks the same, basically.
Okay, well, 'cause
everybody
like,
sees them the same.
Okay, okay, because I'm just kind of like, I don't know, like inside, I almost got like, that's not the Hat Man, but okay, so bear with me. If you could pull up
He generally
Google.
has like a big hat on. Sometimes he has a long flowing coat. You know, kind of back
smiling?
in the... Sometimes he is.
Okay.
The one day we were there, and we went outside, and Kenzie's like, there he is in the door, or the window, and he's smiling at me, and he's got these really big teeth. And I'm like, they're not sharp teeth, right? They're like chiclet teeth. And she's like, yeah, they're like really square, weird teeth. They're not sharp like vampire teeth. They were like square chiclet teeth, basically, is what she was saying. And so that was interesting. I'm like, you know, just flip it off, fuck you, or F you. Like, he doesn't exist. He has no power over you. You just have to cut it off and not feed it. Don't feed it. Don't feed it. Cut the power off.
No, and that is absolutely correct. And I love when people can do that. You know, because it is self-will that causes them to do that. And, you know, I mean, they're like overcoming their fear in that one split second in that decision to not acknowledge this and not feed it any further. So that's really awesome she did that. I am just kind of like wondering though, have you ever looked up Ingrid Cold?
I haven't, but the funny thing was, before she had this Hatman coming in, she fell asleep on her love seat, and then she woke up. Okay, so her house used to be a Catholic church, and then after that, it was a really big drug den, basically drug house. She woke up from watching a movie, and she sees this blonde-haired kid with old, dingy, tattered boxers on, and he's got his knees up to his chest, and he's got his hands up to his hair, and he's kind of waving his head back and forth and scratching his head like, bleh. And she ran past him, went to her bedroom, and she hasn't seen him again. And I was like, Kenzie, I know your house used to be a church, then it was a drug den, this and this and that and that. Perhaps this spirit died and didn't realize it died, and he needs your help to get to the other side. He didn't look at her, he didn't threaten her, he didn't do anything like that, but she knows that he was there, he was confused, he needed help. Like, I think he didn't understand that he died. He didn't know. It was kind of like a surprise, just like with a landfill or landslide going on. It's a surprise.
Yeah, a sudden,
sudden death.
Yeah,
and you're like, what happened?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't know you're dead, but you are.
Okay, was that spirit crossed over?
I don't think he was. I think he was trapped there in the drug house, but she hasn't seen him since. She's done different things like saging, so on and so forth, and this guy hasn't showed up again. And this hat man, okay, at first, he showed up at my house, and my son, my 6-year-old son, is in my bedroom. My husband is in the other room, and he's like, Dad, I just saw this guy, the shadow man, with a hat on, and he was pointing a gun at me, which I think it was just his finger. He was pointing his finger at him, and he's like, the shadow man with a big old hat was pointing his gun at me. And then 2 days later, he shows up at Kenzie's house, and he's chasing her around, basically, hands out, arms out, lunging at her, arms out, trying to touch her, trying to attack her. And she's like, what do I do? And even when we went over there to see, I could see the mirror that was on the wall. It came from another haunted house with the echo of the mirror all around where the mirror was. And I'm like, what the crack is going on with that? Like, I've never seen that before. There's something wrong with this mirror. And then I'm looking around the rest of the house. I see the second spiritual entity, which is not the Hat Man, but kind of like his minion. And he's hiding behind the couch arm, and he's peeking over, and he's not looking like a dark aura. He looks like a light aura. And then the Hat Man is flashing in and out. He's trying to hide from me, but he can't quite hide. Flashing in and out, in and out, in and out. Like this. And my husband's like, can you see anything? What's going on? Can you see something? I'm like, yeah, I can see him in and out. I can see his figure, then he blinks out. I can see his figure, he blinks out. He's trying to hide. He's afraid. And he was really afraid of my husband. But, yeah, he's trying to hide.
So, during this flashing, did you get any flashes other than shadow, like pure shadow color? Like, did you get, like, a green or maybe a purpley rust iridescence off of this entity?
I got... Okay, so it looked like an aura. Like, when he'd disappear, I could see the light fraction behind him. And it was kind of like a bluish purple color or a bluish purple blackish color. And then he was gone and back and forth, back and forth. But, yeah, he was just trying to hide the whole time. And I was saying, this guy's a bully. He's trying to bully this other spirit around and make him do things he doesn't want to do. And he looked down at the ground and he shook his head, no, that's not what I'm doing. Which is really what he was doing. He's bullying this other spirit. This other spirit doesn't want to be in his league, but he's made him one of his servants, basically.
Yeah, like a hostage spirit situation.
Yeah, and this guy, when I look at him, he has this light aura. Like, I could see he doesn't look like a shadow to me. To me, he looks like a light figure, like an aura, the light aura. And I'm like, I can see a light aura of this small figure. And he's sitting there behind the corner of the love seat, and he's crying. He's like, he doesn't want to be there. He's unhappy where he's at. And I don't know what to do for him, how to release him, but I know he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be antagonizing or attacking Kinsey like he has been, and he's kind of hiding. And when we asked him, who are you afraid of, he pointed into the other room to where the Hat Man was and said, I'm afraid of that guy. Right there. Okay, so on that note, we got to go to our second break. You guys don't go anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rockin'. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and I want you to come on a nightly journey. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, every Monday through Friday, you can come hang out with me and the other space travelers. We have it all from Carl the Alien bouncing on by to those misfit gnomes causing havoc. It's 3 hours of fun and entertainment on those topics the mainstream really doesn't want to touch. Come get all paranormal with us at spacedoutradio.com, and together, my friends, along with our resident guitar god Bumblefoot, we own the night.
Sit back, relax, grab a drink, and listen closely. Spaced Out Radio continues through the weekend. From the mile-high mountains of Colorado to you, listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Weekend with Tessa Nicole Thomas.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Welcome back. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. And tonight we have Megan Gehring. Megan, welcome back, and thanks so much for being on the show tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm so grateful that you're here, and I've been so excited about it for the last week or two, and I'm just like, wow, what are we going to talk about?
You asked. I've been excited too. So thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so we were talking about the slide events that were happening in your area and the different spirits and entities you've been dealing with, which at first, right now, it's a very small percentage, but I can see it increasing, and that could be overwhelming. What are your thoughts on that? Are you kind of worried about it, or you're not so worried and you know it's going to be like a slow, steady pace, or what are your thoughts on that exactly?
Okay, so I'm at the point right now in my spiritual life that I know I can handle what is brought forth. So if they kind of have to take a waiting list type number and just kind of wait until I get to them, I would rather be precise and accurate and thorough versus trying to get them all like shoved across all at once. You know, because they do have stories to tell. They have images to share. You know, maybe they have a message for a loved one. All I can do is facilitate that. So, with that, I have to take time for myself, which is very important on anybody who is out there right now doing like a spiritual journey or like self-improvement or trying to, you know, amplify maybe what talents they have. It is very important to do self-work and take time for yourself. Make sure that you are taking time to ground, to listen to your inner self, and ask your highest guides, what is the best path for you? Should you be crossing these things over? You know, spirits, entities, spirit cats, you know, the rest of them. You need to have a flow of communication, and you need to know yourself better. So take that time, work on yourself, do a lot of the steps that are necessary. I mean, I'm talking dedicate 5 to 10 minutes a day, maybe twice a day, if you're really working at it. You know, if you have dreams that seem like premonitions, work on yourself. If you believe you're getting clairaudient messages, work on yourself. Don't go tackle that message first.
Oh, we got a caller.
Ooh, people.
Oh, I'm so excited. All right, we got a caller from area code 425. Who are we speaking with?
You're speaking with Robin.
Braves Robin. How are you doing?
Robin!
I'm doing good.
So good to hear from you. So do you have a question for Megan?
Yes, I do. So I have been told that so my house was built in the 1920s, and it's a 2-story house with a basement. And there's this one part of the basement that has this one door that's very big and has a latch on it. And that door that I've been told that has a portal, and there's a lot of energy going through it where spirits could go through.
Okay.
And so far I've been told that only they just go through there and really come out. And I have seen in my living room where spirits just go through like their everyday like they're just going to everyday lives, you know.
Yeah.
And I've been told how to close the portal, but I don't want to with moving a certain rock. But I don't want to move that rock because I feel like if I move that rock, what else would it open?
Or it could be a sense of disrespect or whatnot, you know? It's not meant to be moved.
Okay. So right off the bat, I want to ask you a question. Is your living room or above the same area of the basement?
It's pretty close.
Okay. What I'm seeing right now is like a tubular column that goes from the basement, and instead of like down or out, it literally shoots up through both stories of your house. So do you have anything going on over this basement and living room area that is on the second story that might draw your attention to maybe confirm that there's a tall portal going on?
I've seen things that sometimes things have been moved around.
In the upstairs portion?
Yeah.
Okay. So that can be astrally closed. If you don't want to take the astral route, a shaman can close that, depending on the area you're in. Now, I know where I'm at, I cannot call a shaman to me because they don't believe the land can be touched by shamans. So, but they're very good workers. If you don't want it closed astrally, I would seek someone out that can close a portal. Okay, but definitely I'm feeling that portal needs to be closed. The rock, I believe, should not be disturbed or, respect that. You felt it shouldn't be disturbed. Respect that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we can close the portal astrally without disturbing the rock.
All right.
It's just a matter of doing it integrally and correctly.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything going on? Oh, let's see. I almost had something. But
You're like,
it went away. Is there?
Yeah.
I know it would come back. Okay, so is there anything else?
Just move your head around a
going
little bit,
on?
like this, in this circle. I'm just kidding.
There is. I've seen small glimpses of the Hat Man, I believe.
Okay.
He's everywhere. MFer. I think he's closing in on our group. He's trying to assault us. He's came to my house. I was at work. My 6-year-old son saw him, and then 2 days later, my daughter saw him, and he's been attacking her and lunging towards her, trying to take her energy. And finally, after I talked to her several times, she's like, okay, I'm going to listen to you and ignore him and not give him any power, which has been working. So that's good. But what I find interesting is that she saged her whole house except for her bedroom, which has the attic door in her closet. Okay, so what told her not to do that? Give me a freaking break. Like, she saged the whole perimeter of her house except for her bedroom where the attic door is, which had the satanic Bible and the bubbly rocks and all this other freaking shnikes in there. Like, what plagued her mind to not do that? And she's like, I can't believe I didn't do that, because she's been watching me do that as she was a little baby unto a child and so on and so forth. She's seen me sage several times, and she knows how it works. Go from the most active area to the least active area. And she didn't even sage her bedroom. Everywhere else but her bedroom where the attic freaking door is. Like, what the crack are you thinking? What's going on?
Well,
something plagued her mind, I think.
Yeah, no. Sage is definitely not going to deal with the portal issue.
We've had Sage help that, and different other things help that. But yeah, it just depends on your intention, your persuasion, whatever else you got going on. We've had that help with our team in our area where there's so many portals in this freaking Four Corners areas. Is basically like a great big vortex. So it's been pretty interesting and intriguing. But yeah, I think something was plaguing her mind and not letting her do the whole sage thing. It's like, do everything else in your house, but your bedroom. What the crack is that? Like, I would have started in my bedroom and gone up into the attic and gone down and did the rest of the place instead of ignoring the bedroom and the attic area, which had the satanic Bible and the bubbly black rocks and so on and so forth. Like, something actually plagued her mind to not let her know that she should have done that. She did everything else but that room. What the crap is happening? Like, that is intriguing and interesting and disheveling, basically. Yes, sir, Robin.
I have more things to tell her.
Wait, did you just say interstellar? Hold on. I think I cut out. What did you just say? I'm sorry.
So I've seen other glimpses of things, and I've seen a dark entity here and there. See, I have epilepsy, and when I have epilepsy, sometimes I see a dark being.
Okay.
So sometimes I see things here there, and I think it was yesterday I found out that I was a medium. So now I'm seeing dead things now.
Are you really surprised? Like, you knew what was going on, but then somebody kind of placed these things in front of you and like, this is you, this is who you are, this is what you're doing, and you're like, oh yeah, I finally realized it. Like, you've known all along, but you kind of have that self-doubt within yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm also a psychic also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Robin, do you do any type of self-protection as far as like grounding and shielding?
Right now I have a crystal on me that I forgot the name of it, but it protects all. That's what I have on me right now.
Okay, but you don't practice like a meditative shielding exercise?
No, not right now. I don't.
No. Okay. Can I recommend that? Because that will protect things from coming in and staying at your house, and you can protect yourself as well as your residents. So you put like one shield over yourself, and then you do like a double shield and expand it to where if something is trying to communicate with you, you can still communicate with it, being you're psychic. However, you don't want it to stay at your house. You don't want a house guest. So if you can expand that protective shield, it won't allow it to stay. It'll just allow it to communicate with you, and then you can send it away.
Okay.
But beings, I feel like you have a 3-story portal in your house. You can squish it yourself. You have the ability to take care of your own situations. You do. I believe in client self-empowerment. I can offer astral services to assist you with this. We can come in, squish the portal, and then you can just maintain it. Or I can walk you through the steps, and you can close your own portal.
So we have Trip asking, the screamers haven't figured out how to use what energy they have to communicate with the living, yet not knowing they're dead. Have you had any experience with the screamers?
Like banshee type?
That's what I think about,
Like,
but there's other
yeah.
spirits that scream too. Yeah.
Yes, and no, and that is because they go through their spiritual life for so long not being recognized by anyone, so they just start screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you get somebody who's sensitive or an empath or a psychic, or maybe they're drawn into someone's energy, and then you got this screaming entity in front of you, and you're like, English, whoa. And that is my initial reaction. I've only had that happen once. I know there's a couple colleagues of mine who dealt with a screaming banshee, like legit definition of screaming banshee. And they actually had to talk the screaming banshee down into a communicatable state.
And Trippin' Fool was saying, might not be the sound of the vacuum, but the vibration from it that was actually making that spirit scream in my ear. So I can understand what he's saying. Like, I can totally comprehend that and think, yes, that was what was going on. Like, the vibration and whatnot was like, spirit's like, ah, in my ear.
Yes.
So that makes total and utter sense to me.
Nope. Thank you, Trip, because that is very evident. Constant video can upset fae. So if you have an area that you have fairies in, that constant recording of a video camera, even if it's on your phone, that higher pitch that we cannot hear, upset fae. And fae will become more active, and they almost want to attack the camera.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Thank you, Trip, because, no, the vibration of the vacuum, and that's why I was kind of saying change in frequency, that correlates to my understanding of how spirits work.
So, while I'm still in the line, I have a question for you.
Good to go.
So, how would you deal with hospitals?
Oh.
So difficult.
Okay. So, me personally, I put on a lot of shields and a lot of blinders because I've got grandparents still, and, my grandma frequents the hospital. So when I go see her, I layer shielding, and that is a psychic practice that I use. I develop shields, I shield myself, and I can easily go into a hospital without being bombarded by souls who are living and almost not living, if that makes sense, because there's like a whole bundle of almost dying souls that want to reach out. They want comfort in their last hours or their last days. And hospitals, I always feel overwhelmed going into. However, if I shield, it's a lot better. And I just kind of have to put blinders on the empath skill. That way I'm not able to receive messages. That way I can focus on my grandma, who's hooked up to IVs and receiving pain meds. I could focus on grandma, not everybody else.
So crazy and interesting and intriguing to see the path that one goes through. Like, I know this next weekend I don't have anybody booked because I've heard different rumors, so on and so forth. Like, I'm being replaced, what I'm going to do. But at the same time, like, I need to book a show. What do? I don't want to do psychic after psychic. I want to have people on that have had different spiritual, relevant experiences, different intriguing experiences. Like, I know spiritual experiences. Who else can share that with my show? I'd like to hear that. It'd be very interesting and intriguing for sure.
Yeah. So, hey.
It was great talking with you.
Yeah. So, Robin.
Yeah?
You can find me on Facebook, Megan, Megan, Gehring, Gehring. Send me a friend request, and I will further work with you to either help you through closing the portal, or I can come astrally and close the portal myself. And then we will go from there. Okay? So send me a friend request on Facebook, and we'll just go from there. I would love to share information with you.
All right.
Okay.
Good night, Sir Robin. I love you, and it's so good to hear from you. And good job with your comic, and keep on keeping on, and get that guy in there to do your paintings and your artwork for you and such, because collaborating is the main theme and the main scheme, and you can go very above and beyond doing that, and I know you're going to go a long ways with this.
Okay. All right. Good night.
Good night,
okay,
Sir
take
Robin.
Care. Thank you.
So there's a lot of things going on here with the astral and so on and so forth. Nikki is saying, that's what I miss doing, astral while fully awake. Like, sometimes you're in a dream realm, sometimes you're in the reality realm. Like, how do you know what the difference is?
Okay. Is Nikki kind of lending to, like, what's the difference between a dream astral and a awake astral?
Let me scroll up a little more. Hi, Ron. Sharon's like, Tessa, do the shovel truffle. Meow. Okay, hold on.
Oh, I know, my cat. She's so loud. So, let's see. I know reality, I guess. I know when I'm in astral. So, if that makes sense, I know my reality self versus astral. I don't have any overlap. The confusion comes from me being very empathic. One time I was down in it was Tombstone, Arizona. And my husband and I had gone to Tombstone to, take the tour and visit the OK Corral and stuff. And we were walking on an old boardwalk, and I actually stepped to the side because there was a woman, I thought in costume, walking in my direction. And I stepped to the side, and I said, "Oh, excuse me." And then I realized my husband's looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I turned around to, motion, I stepped out of her way because, she's a character costume, and, she wasn't there. She was not there. I saw a full-body apparition, a woman walking down the catwalk, and, boom. I stepped out of her way. I said, "Excuse me," and everything. And my
He's
husband
like, "What are you doing?"
Nuts. Right. So that is confusing to me because I turned around fully expecting her to be there, and there's no corner that she could have turned or anything. I mean, there was a 20-foot stretch of this, boardwalk left, and I'm looking like I just stepped out of the way for a woman to pass, and she's not even there anymore. What did she do, go in thin air? Yes, that's exactly what she did. And so that's where my confusion comes in, is seeing it as an empath and a visual type psychic person when it correlates to time. I've got a funny thing about time. Historical things really ring true for me. So, but as far as astral, and has Nikki clarified the question, or... Because I'll just go with the answer.
Well, Sharon was asking, what are Megan's procedures for negative attachments and cutting the negative cords? Does she do follow-ups with the clients?
Yes.
So on and so forth?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Kudos.
So, okay. So I'll kind of umbrella what I think Nikki is asking, and then I will roll right into Sharon. So there is no confusion when it comes between real life and astral, because I have to put myself into an astral, a meditative state to achieve astral. Is astral real to me? Yes. I can validate some certain things with the client that will prove I am in your house or I'm working with you. Basically, I, have to put myself in the meditative trance to achieve astral, and so I'm there on an astral plane. Things may not be 100% as they are in real life, because it's almost like a heat wave type image over what I'm really seeing.
So
But
we
on
actually...
an energy level, I am there at your place. I am working with your body or your environment.
So
and
we
then
actually...
have come back to a real life situation, back to my body. So my astral body hops back into my physical body, and I am whole again.
Mm-hmm.
I get up from my bed or the couch or wherever I was astraling from, and I go cook dinner. There's no overlap. Sometimes though, I do receive additional messages with information, but there is a distinct clarification between real life and astral. And I have not achieved, like some people say that they can astral while they're driving, or some people can astral while they're fully awake and they don't have to go to that trance-like state. I have not achieved that yet. So it's not like I've got one eyeball on real life and the other eyeball on astral plane. It's not like that for me anymore. I have to purposely go to the astral. So, Nikki, I hope that answers your question. I forced myself to go to astral, and I have to come back. And then there's astral life, and then there's real life. So I hope that answered your question. There's really no confusion, but, there is message transfer. As far as Sharon's question, dealing with negative entities, you can push negativity out of a person. You can pull or suck negativity out of a person. You can help them by raising vibes, which will allow them to push it out themselves. It's like a sliver. So if I see that you have a negative attachment, I can raise your vibes, and your vibes will actually push out that negative attachment without me doing anything other than raising your vibes. It all depends how stuck the negative attachment is. Sometimes they are like parasitic and they are really in there, and sometimes I just have to constantly pull and pluck and squeeze and pluck, and it gets tedious. And yes, I do astral follow-ups.
You just said doo-doo, but...
I said doo-doo. I do-do.
Yes.
I do-do. Yeah, I do-do. You know what? There's a book. You know what book I'm talking about. It's called Everybody Doo-Doos. Yeah. So I do astral follow-ups. Of course I do. Of course I do. Because I want happy people. I want happy people.
Yeah, and we have a call from a 360 area code. Who are we talking to? Hello? 360-547. Who are we talking to? Okay.
I don't know. That's not me, right?
I think it is you. Who are you? Coco!
Oh my goodness, you don't know who this is. I know who this is.
It's Coco Chanel.
Coco. Hi, Coco.
My beautiful Coco. I love to hear her voice, and I recognized as soon as you laughed, I was like, God, that's Coco. I couldn't believe I asked who that was.
I don't know. I knew it. The phone number doesn't match. That's weird, but hey. Hi.
So, hey, you guys. Now, I just want to say to all the listeners that Megan is right on about almost everything I've heard her say, and what I know a little bit of her background doing work on all these different things, and she is just so intelligent and so honest and so right on. So I just want to say, Megan, I think you're phenomenal, and I appreciate you very much, and all the work you do. Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, she's just, Tessa, like anybody would be very fortunate to have her working for them or with them. She's, a lot of people come out, and you guys know this too, a lot of people come out and pretend to be this or know that, but she's actually very intelligent, and when she says that she is going to do something, she does it, and she knows about it. She researches, she has great knowledge in this field, which I don't see very often, quite frankly, and it's just really refreshing to see someone like Megan come out and do what she's doing and helping so many people with this. And on the same level, I want to say to you, Tessa, you are fantastic, and we never want to see you go anywhere. So
Coco, thank you so much.
True. If you leave here, we're leaving with you, sister. Okay? I just want to say that. And you belong here. You have brought so much to SOR. You're phenomenal. So I'm sorry if I'm speaking out of turn here, but I really feel strongly about this, and you mean a lot to me. And I think you're just a fantastic host, and so I just want to give you all the credit in the world that you deserve. So take that to heart, okay?
I do, and sister, I want to tell you that everything you're saying to me, I take it to heart, and I put it to the utmost, like, I don't know what to call it, but I'm looking up to what you're saying, and I'm trying to strive above and beyond and work towards that which you're telling me, and I do really put a lot of energy and atmosphere into what you're telling me, and trying to strive towards that and not fall beyond the realm of being lost, but I do really trust and believe what you're telling me, and I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so glad you're here, and you're giving me this input, because I really do put a lot of energy and weight into what you're saying, and I'm so grateful for you, and you're my beautiful sister, and I'm so glad you're here tonight, and I can hear your voice and your energy, and it's so great to hear from you, for sure.
Oh, thank you, Tessa. And remember, even outside of this realm, you always have a home with me at my platform, but I know you can do many, many, many things, and you will go on to do many things if you're not here, and we're all behind you. Please know that, okay?
I do, and I'm there, and I'm giving you hugs and kisses, and I hope you come on for the after party, because there's more stuff I want to discuss with you, but thank you so much for the input and the encouragement, and, you're really pushing me forward, and instead of me kind of listening to things that I've heard and falling behind and not booking jobs and so on and so forth, like, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm trying to continue on with what I'm doing, and I know that I'm doing a good job with what I'm doing, but at the same time, it's like really hard. Like, you hear different stories from different people, like, this is what's happening, and people are actually trying to book different people for your job, and so on and so forth, and I'm just like, okay, what the crack is happening? Yeah. Are you fucking serious? Are you fracking serious? Like, what the crack is going on? And
no, that's a lot of stress, that's a lot of pressure, and that's like really sad, you know what I mean? But we'll figure it out. We'll talk in overtime. We'll figure it out, and don't you get stressed about it. Don't get sad about it. Believe me, you got a lot of good things coming, Tessa,
Yeah, we just gotta keep on trucking, keep on moving, keep on chuck-a-lucking, whatever we're doing. Just spread the energy and raise each other up and put positive vibes into each other's lives, and we'll continue on. We'll keep on keeping on, and we'll be okay.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Love you, Megan. I'll talk to you later, Megan. And thanks, you guys, so much.
Love you too, Coco. Thank you.
All
Good to hear from you, Coco. I hope to see you at the after party. I hope you're not sleeping at that point.
I hope not either. Okay.
If not, we'll try to wake you up.
Right. I'm going to mute myself now. Thanks, you guys.
Good night, Coco. I love you, sister. And I'm so grateful. Like, Megan, do you have purple plates or a purple medallion or whatnot? Like, do you have anything along with the purple plates going on?
Actually, yes, I do have the wallet-sized purple plate.
Me
and
too.
I will admit, it is incredibly balancing. And that is, like, the one thing I do struggle, is to find balance. And ever since I got the purple plate, I carry it with me. You know, it just slides into my back pocket. And I love it. I have a lot of energy. I feel more grounded. I just have an overall feel of balance. And I guess I didn't know what I was missing until I got it, because I was like either on a really big like upswing, high energy, or I was extremely exhausted. And now I don't have either one of the two. I'm just at a happy medium, and I find the purple plate really amazing, and I can tell when I don't have it on me.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
because I
funny
go back
when-
into the like the really high energy or the really low energy kind of swing phase.
Yeah, I don't know about using it on Amazon Prime or wherever else, but I know when I put it in my pocket, I actually got that extra boost of energy, like doing different things that I didn't have the energy for before. Like I'm taking care of these different tasks that I had no ample energy for, and man, this life is so draining. And like I said before, like I'm working in security Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then Friday I sleep in all night. And then Saturday I'm doing the show. Sunday I'm doing the show. And then Monday I'm trying to recoup from the after party, so on and so forth. And it's been very, very draining. And I've received a lot of judgment from my teenager, my 15-year-old. And she's really, really judging me. And I'm like, good God, like, what exactly are you seeing? Like, I'm not even judging you for that, for your homework and all this other shenanigans that you're doing. Like, why the F are you judging me? But she does, because she's trying to secure her own, like, security, basically. Like, I'm going to put you down so I can feel better about what I'm doing, and you can't come against me because I'm not going to do that to her. But yeah, like, she just makes me feel like a total piece of shenanigans, and I'm just like, what do I do? And she just came home finally from her sister's house today, and can you show me you're missing homework? What's going on? This and this and that and that, and hopefully you can make up for that. And then she's going out with her pot-smoking cousin, who they're only like a month apart, and so she's more worried about what he's doing. And ever since he moved in last Easter, that's when she started emotionally and verbally abusing me. And I'm like, okay, so she can dish it out, but she can't take it. As soon as I send it back to her, what she's doing to me, she's like, oh man, you're like totally abusing me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you can verbally and emotionally abuse me, but as soon as I send it back to you, I'm the bad guy. Which, I understand what she's saying, but at the same time, when you attack me, being a Marine, and so on and so forth, I'm not going to just lay there and take it. I'm going to feed back to you what you're feeding to me, and you can dish it out, but you can't take it, so what do? Like, I cannot stop myself. Like, I can't insert foot into mouth, or foot into a-hole, or whatever the F I'm supposed to do. Like, she is verbally and emotionally abusing me, and as soon as I respond, before I can even try to cut it off, she's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said this to me, yada yada, so on and so forth. I'm like, what do you expect? If you're going to do this to me, do you not expect to get it back to you? Really? For every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction, basically? Like, do you not expect to say stuff to me and verbally and emotionally abuse me and then not expect me to say something back. Like, I have to defend myself. Even though you're my 14, 15-year-old daughter, I'm not going to let you do that to me. I could whip you with a friggin' belt or a stick or whatever else, but instead I'm using words. I don't know. It's so friggin' difficult, Megan. I don't know what to do. I'm so lost and confused and feeling really, really sorry for myself, you know? Like, what have I done? Like, she was so close to me, and she saw my teenager assaulting me verbally and emotionally and so on and so forth, and she's like, what the heck is that? And then all of a sudden, she's doing the same thing, even worse than my first daughter was? Yeah. I'm like, what the crack is happening? I don't even know what to do. I'm just so beside myself. I'm just, whoa. What are your terms? What do you think? What should I do?
Well, I mean, the easiest answer to this would be to have a fast forward button and just fast forward the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be so
but
nice.
That's not.
I can skip out on so much emotional and verbal abuse. I'd be like, yay! I'm past that. Okay, where are we at now? Oh, tell me.
Hi. Oh, we're okay now? You actually want my advice?
What?
So, yeah, no, and I mean, this is just funny because I'm like, yeah, see that? That was Empath.
Oh, my God.
You know?
Yeah.
People just say stuff to Empaths, and there you go, example. Thanks, Tessa. But, no, honestly, there is so much associated with, like, this teenage angst, and I forget, now that I have a 12-year-old daughter, I forget how it was. However, stuff has changed so much, and, like, I don't know, my daughter got on this whole, I need to identify role. And I'm like, what? I don't care what you identify with. Like, why do you need to identify with anything? But that is what is happening right now. Like, I have to revisit what her peer group is doing to understand her better.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So her peer group feels like they need to identify with one thing or another, or some cause or no cause, or some gender or no gender. And I'm like really confused because I haven't heard, I mean, it's an alphabet. It's an alphabet soup type mess. And I'm left scratching my head, but I have to look at her peer group. Okay. So I look at her peer group and I figure out, like, what is causing her to tick within this peer group. And then I can move forward. And then I can actually, like, take her aside, you know, and say, really, kiddo, knock off the attitude. Because my daughter is me with a miniature attitude, just like me. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. Because, yeah, she does have my attitude.
God, Becky, look at her butt. It's so big.
Oh, yeah.
It's, like, out there.
Oh, yeah. It is way out there. Way. So
it's like, holy shnikes, what do we do to contain it? How do we bring it back? And it's like so out of control. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what have I done to deserve this outlandish freaking verbal and emotional abuse? And she's like, oh, well, you used speed when you were a teenager. And I'm like, okay, I was in my mid-20s when I did that. You don't even know what you're talking about. Okay, your dad has told you all this other shenanigans, and you're thinking all this shiz is true, but it's really not, okay? Once you speak to me and try to get to know me, you'll realize who I am and what I've done, but at the same time, you should want to do better. You should want to go above and beyond what we did. That's what I strive for as a kid. I want to do better than my dad. My dad was a freaking genius. I don't know about my mom. She's spiritually genius or whatever. But I wanted to learn and adapt and overcome and do all these things that were not perceptive to my outcome. And I did very, very well. I got A's and B's, and I continued on and on and on and on. Even though I was on the outlands of, as far as I didn't have parents, I was on my own. I was working a job like 48 hours a week. I was doing so many different things. And she's like, oh, you used meth when you were a teenager. I'm like, no, I didn't. I was in my 20s. And yeah, I did. I did go off the coaster. And I did use meth. I did use speed. And it wasn't good for me. It was a really, really bad outcome. Luckily, I came back from it. And I'm not a freaking math addict anymore. Math addict.
Yeah.
Meth addict.
Math.
You know?
Oh,
yeah.
I
understood there would be no math.
Addict.
Yes, I understood there would be no math.
I'm trying to calculate my fuel mileage and scratching my head going, no.
You're like, what the crap is going on? Yes, a math addict. No, meth addict, but yeah, like, I had those certain years in my mid-20s, so on and so forth, but I adapted and overcame, and I went above and beyond, and I continued on with my life trying to make it better for my kids, but they can't see it.
Okay.
They're like, you've done nothing for me.
They're not going to see it. They're not going to see it until they themselves are older. Okay? And then that is when they will appreciate the strength and the obstacles that you have overcame. So this teenage phase, unfortunately, I'm seeing like lasting for 2 years, like just this head-butting relationship, and it's going to wear you down. However, she will appreciate it later on because she herself will have to overcome certain things in her life, and until that moment, she will not appreciate everything you have done and explain to her from your own perspective.
And I know she will because Kinsey, my oldest, she's now 20 years old. And she's like, Mom, I totally understand what you were saying when you're saying, like, Dad is over here doing this with his family and yada yada. Like, the whole Peterson thing continuing on, yada yada. And I'm like, yeah, totally. She's like, I totally understand what you're saying. Like, I feel that with my boyfriend and so on and so forth. And there's no loyalty there. It's always with the familiar family, basically. Let me get this headphone off my head. But yeah, it's interesting, intriguing, and disgusting. Oh, holy shnikes, we got another call. Hello. We got...
Oh,
area code.
Another phone call?
Yeah, area code 602. Who are we talking to?
This is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Hi.
How are you?
You guys are making me cry. Well, I'm sad now because my daughter disowned me, and we've had a really stormy relationship. I'm going to cry.
Oh, I know.
Don't do that.
But you know, sister, she's going to come back because she's going to finally realize where you're coming from. Just like I was about to tell Megan, my oldest, she was the worst. And Nova was like, what the hell is she saying? Where the hell is she coming from? And then she's worse than Kinsey was even. But Kinsey finally came back and was like, Mom, I understand what you were saying. I understand where you're coming from. And it's really hard, like, losing that contact and that bond and stuff that we have with them. But just know, Lisa, that she's going to come back to you and she's going to understand what you're talking about. She's going to see it for herself in her own life, and she's going to be like, Mom, I totally understand what you're talking about, where you're coming from, and oh my gosh, I'm sorry I did that.
Well, she has, like, more than once we've gone through this, but this is, like, the worst time. This is the worst it's ever been. And I don't want to cry on the air. But anyways, I wanted to ask you something completely different. It was about this star. I woke up with my, I think it was my left palm or I think maybe my right palm. Anyways, one of the palms in my hands had a black star drawn on it with the black magic marker.
Wow.
And the black magic marker was standing up on its end next to my bed, on the table next to my bed. And I freaked out and I grabbed it and then I tried to stand it back up on its end and I couldn't get it to stand. So I don't know. I was looking for the photo and I couldn't find it. I lost my phone, so I think it was on that phone. The photo was on that phone. So I was just wondering what you thought about that.
Oh,
Any
interesting.
ideas? Anybody? Yeah.
So, okay. I've got a couple questions. When you first woke up, were you experiencing any type of body paralysis? Or were
No,
you able
not
to
then.
move, like, right away?
Yeah, it was normal. I just woke up normally. Yeah.
Okay, and was this in accordance, like, around March 20th with the equinox, possibly?
I have no idea. It's been over a year, so I don't remember the exact
never
date.
mind. Never mind.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah.
Okay, and the Sharpie image was actually visible on your hand. It was not an illusion?
No, it took a while for it to wear off. It was a star, like someone drew a star on my hand. And if it was on my right hand, I'm right-handed. I couldn't have done it as clearly as it came out, so yeah, it was weird.
Who was in your house at the time? Physical body in your house at the time.
You know, I was living at my mom and dad's old place with my daughter at the time. She's the one who I've had a falling out with, and she actually evicted me from there. So it was at that house, and I don't remember. She's had people in and out. She had a 17-year-old girl living with us at one point, so it could have been her living there. Nobody came in the room. I know that.
Yeah,
there wasn't
no,
anybody in the house. Yeah.
No, I'm going to rule out your daughter. Your daughter is not associated with that.
Okay.
So in the few days before coming into this incident, did you experience anything like you had lucid dreams, very vivid dreams?
No, I never
dizziness?
do. I've been dizzy a lot, yeah. But I take medications, so some of the medications I take could cause me to be dizzy.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, probably.
Okay, because what I'm picking up on is there was a series of like flashes that are coordinated like with like dizziness or vivid dreams that preceded this incident. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's just what I'm feeling. Like, I'm getting flashes, and it's almost very disorienting. Like, you were very disoriented around the same time.
Well, I think I was pretty disoriented when I woke up. I do know there was one point where I was taking a medication that made me fall asleep sitting up, and I remember falling over and hitting my head, but it was like right around that same time. But I don't know why that just came to my head right now. But it's been like a year and a half, maybe even a little bit longer since it's happened. So it's not really that clear in my head right now. So exactly what was going on around that time.
Okay.
But
well,
that was so weird. It freaked me out. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my indications are that maybe it was not so much spiritual as possibly off-world extraterrestrial. Have you seen craft since then?
Actually, no. I don't think I've ever really seen anything extraterrestrial or paranormal, except one time about maybe 20 years ago, I saw 3 round orbs in the sky, in the clouds above me, when I was studying for school. And I looked up at the sky behind me was the window, and I saw these 3 orbs like dashing in and out, or darting in and out. But that's the only thing I've ever seen that I thought was paranormal, ever, in my entire life. So
ever. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I hear all you guys talking about all this stuff, and I'm just like, none of it's ever happened to me.
So Sharon,
I mean, that's very interesting because I'm leaning more towards extraterrestrial versus paranormal with you. So I don't know if you had a slight visitation. Was the star shape on your hand an identifiable star cluster? Or was it literally just a star drawn?
5-point star drawn on my palm.
Holy
Isn't that crazy? And it wasn't upside down. It was your normal, it wasn't like, what do they call that, the pentagram or when it's upside down? It wasn't that.
Well, hey, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was
we
not
got
your daughter.
exiting intro music going on. So, Megan, are you still there?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Megan, can you give us your contacts and ways to reach you as far as questions, comments, so on and so forth?
Yeah, okay. So I'm kind of dabbling in a new adventure. I have been working with a very close colleague, Sarah Camp, who is a very gifted medium. I can be reached, and she can be reached. Also, you can just put it in the search bar of Facebook and Google, I guess, Astral Maid Services. And that is Astral, ASTRAL, Maid, like housemaids.
MAID.
Yep, MAID Services. Astral Maid Services. And we will happily respond. So we've got 2 Facebook pages. We've got a public Facebook page, which we use for promoting ourselves, and then we have a private group where we can discuss more intimately case details and ways to improve yourself spiritually.
Well, I have to say, thank you so much for being my guest tonight. Megan, you were amazing, and it was so wonderful having you on this evening, figuratively and literally. And I'm so grateful that Coco came on as well, but thank you so much for sharing your links and allowing us to learn where to find you and how to help ourselves. And thank you so much for what you're doing every day for us and our well-being.
Oh, absolutely. No, thank you for having me as a guest, and I appreciated the time.
So awesome. Hold on one second if you want to be there for the after party. And thank you to everyone on Space.Radio, Facebook, Twitter, Paranormal Radio, TalkStream Live, Deep Talk Radio, and wherever else you are in the universe tonight. It was so great hearing from you, literally and figuratively, and I can't wait to do it again. I had a wonderful time this evening, and it was my pleasure, and I can't wait to do it again this next weekend on spaced.radio.com. Until next time, nighty-night, love and light to all my space cases out there. Don't forget, we are all in this together. Together we can make the world a little better, and together, my friends, we own the night. You guys have a wonderful week. Don't work too hard, and I'll see you back here next weekend.